if you don't have insulin. I was driving in my car to Walgreens. I was gonna have a fucking showdown. Like I was like, I'm gonna be on the news. I'm so fucking pissed. The head of endocrine at the university called me. I didn't call him. He's an older Jewish gentleman. He should be retired, and he and I had a conversation commiserating what Denizen is talking about here, because I was like, I don't understand. Insulin nowadays is made for pennies. Like this shouldn't be happening. And we talked about greed and how these CEOs and these companies, this is what happens when greed is unchecked and when people have access to unlimited amount of money, like people like myself. And I can only imagine the regular person or a young teenager or a child. I'm like, this should not be happening in the United States. Like, why is greed getting to this point where even someone like myself is not even able to get a medication that is something I need to just live? And this is greed unchecked. And when you have so much money and so many resources, you lose humanity and you don't give a shit. Most people, a lot of these CEOs, these people that are out there, they don't give a shit about people. It's all about making a profit. And I'm telling you right now, like, one of the biggest tricks that these motherfuckers are doing is trying to get people to get angry with like your frontline workers and your employees at the hospital. And yeah, we're all a problem, but like greed is at the bottom of a lot of the problems that we're dealing with. And now healthcare, it's affected me. I'm like, I should not have been freaking out and stressed out about getting a vial of insulin in the United States. So that's all I wanted to say. And sorry guys.
I just want to point out quickly that it completely destroys the pull yourself up by your bootstraps argument, right? Because,
absolutely.
You're very well accomplished, right? I would say you're successful financially. You have more than enough money to afford your medicine, right? That's
the point.
Talking out of turn.
Yep.
You're right. So now, someone who is, by all measurements of the people who tell you what to be in society, successful, cannot access things she needs to live. So, how about now? Has it gone too far now?
Absolutely. I think it has.
You know what I mean? Like,
yep.
I'd say it went too far a long time ago, but
yep.
How about now? You know?
Yep. And and it's really sad that it's taken. I have other stories about how this has affected me. This is not just the only one, but and then they pull the communism bullshit and like. Yeah, again, I'm sharing this story because I'm outraged. I'm still pissed, and I'm not sure exactly how to go about and do something about this. But this should not be happening to someone like myself. It should not.
What was the problem with the insulin? Did they just not have it?
Well, so I was asking. No, there was a shortage, and I'm getting different stories from the pharmacies. When I get more answers, I'll be happy to share it. But when the head of endocrine is calling me from the university and he's pissed and he's had enough of it, and I don't want to give his name or anything, but we all saw Luigi. I'm telling you right now, a lot of us understand why he did what he did. This greed has gone, it is out of control. I can't.
Luigi's a fucking hero. I don't care if he is a leftist. When it comes to insurance companies in particular,
yep.
That's when I get my most anti-corporation, because they're
the other problem, and I'll hop off, is that when you do this and this goes unchecked, the mob takes over, and then there's mob justice, and then everything is just lost. And look at what happened with OJ and the trial. Like if you really start to read about this and think about it, I think you guys know, you guys are all smart and this is past, but there's a reason why that jury did what they did. They felt disenfranchised and, the police and all that against their community. So there's many reasons, but when you let greed go unchecked, I'm just like, at what point, are the regular folks, the blue collar and regular people going to keep putting up with this? And then mob justice is going to result. And we saw, anyway, I'll stop talking. Sorry.
No, this is actually a great point, because this is the point that I always try to talk to Flo and Grit about, and I'm not articulate enough to make it. Like, what happens when the common man can't get what they need for their family? They're not just going to lay down and die. That's
right.
why when Flo starts talking about, oh, you deserve less as poor people, like I'm like, ha, funny. And if people don't work for what they have, like most people work. Most people want to work in society. Like
I'm still confused about the insulin shortage and what the reason for it was.
So there. I have not gotten to the bottom of this, but I'm trying to tell you, Greg, that I'm not a stupid person, and neither is the gentleman, the doctor that called me from the university. And we're trying to figure this out. And he's telling me that this is the problem with corporate greed. They're trying to save pennies to like make a profit, and it manifests in different ways across the board here. And that part. So I don't know if you know about pharmacies and drug manufacturing. There's like the shortage. It may be real. It may not. I don't think it's real. I think this is about a cost. Like, I think it's about capitalism and greed, because insulin is a great example of like, this is not an exotic new drug. You have bacteria that can make this medication for you. And it's like, it should not be like inaccessible to even poor people. Like it's not that. And then you've got, so anyways, I'm gonna go off. We don't know the answer to this directly. We're being told different stories. So, and I was talking, I went and I spoke to the pharmacist myself. I'm like, listen, this is who I am. Like, what the fuck is going on here? Why is there a different, what's going, and no one could give me a straight answer. No one. So,
to be honest with you, this all ends when the government ends. We've seen this repeated in history time and time again with kings, queens, pharaohs, rulers. When you don't appease the people and you let your power go unchecked and the power of the wealthy around you, eventually, no matter what systems and what militaries you put in place, the unhappy people outnumber you, and we take the power back eventually.
Yeah, it's like that. It's like that graphic novel. It is very simply said, like the government. People should not be afraid of their governments. People should be afraid. The government should be afraid of people. Like I'm telling you, like this is gonna fucking like blow up, and the mob is gonna take over and have its own justice and healthcare. Go ahead. Sorry.
It's coming. It's coming quick, and it's coming regardless of ideology. Because when you've got people that are right wing, like believe in right wing ideologies that shout Mangione or Luigi's a hero, that should be telling. Because here's the thing.
Yep.
Most real right wingers, especially young people, hate corporations. They hate the system America has. The leftists automatically hate the system. Like. Both sides are telling the wealthy and telling the political elite, this system sucks. It benefits nobody. Fix it, or we'll fix it for you.
That's part.
But you won't fix it. You won't fix it.
That's part of the problem. And you know what? I'm going to get off because the thing is, I have so much to say about these medications. Some Shameless Elegance is making a good point. There are so many problems with it. It's nuanced. It's not just one thing. And anyways, I don't want to take away from you guys.
No. This is actually something that's important. So, like, if you want to talk about it, because it matters.
And if you could read it out loud.
Shameless Elegance is saying, I'm reading pharmaceutical companies are slashing insulin-producing manufacturing to replace it with more profitable weight loss drugs on the market now. That is also correct.
Yeah,
I want to talk about this. I want to talk about this, but I want to talk about this when I'm not angry. And I'm angry right now. And I don't like to talk about shit like this I'm angry. So let me calm down. Let me do some reading, and I will be happy to come on and talk to you. I'm personally affected by this, and that's why I'm upset. So, but thank you for letting. Thank you. Bye, guys.
You're welcome. I love it when you come on. Thank you for coming. No, here's the thing specifically about that, right? Medication in general. They will literally slash production or hoard production to create scarcity. This is artificial scarcity at its finest, and you see it happen time and time again. And then people talk about, well, things are. But
did they raise the price?
I don't know in this particular case, but
okay, right. So what I'm reading is that they're discontinuing some versions of it. Something with the pens. pins are being changed or something. I'm not really sure. There is no national insulin.
That would be the
shortage.
EpiPen. That would be the EpiPen.
Local
debacle that happened
stockouts and
about 10
distribution
years ago.
challenges for specific brands and delivery devices do happen. That's true. Yeah.
So the question is, why are they doing it? Are they doing it because it's not profitable? They have a better version coming to market? No, it's artificial scarcity and control.
Yeah, it's probably regulation driven.
It's regulations. You can get insulin here in Vietnam for like, I guess, roughly around $8.
What are the regulations? Because I always hear this argument. From people like yourselves, and when I look into it, regulations ain't nothing.
It's
but
a
a bunch of
simple
fake-
answer. It's a real simple answer. You don't have to go through the diatribe, right? If I'm making a product, right, and I'm gonna
What
tell you
are
now,
the regulations? You don't have to go about the roundabout. If I don't get to do the diatribe, you don't have to do the roundabout. What are the regulations?
me as a foreign company that makes a product, how do I get it into the United States?
Go ahead, tell me.
Well, no, that would be the thing. That's part of the regulations, right? It goes through a long laundry list of regulations. One, you got the FDA approval. Two, you now have somehow got the insurance rates in it, right? The same cost of that medication in Vietnam is like, okay, here it's $8, give or take, right? The same medication in the United States is like, I don't know, like $160. Doesn't make any sense to me. So what's the difference? And if you think it's just medication, it's the same way with clothes.
Josh, remember 7-8 years ago, Trump actually forced specifically with insulin, the price of insulin to be reduced, right? You remember that?
Right.
It was across the board. And then what happened as soon as the regime changed? It went back. It went back.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of this in the drug industry, right? And this is not corporate greed. This is political bullshit where this, like I can go to China and buy, amoxicillin over the counter for almost nothing. Right here, I have to go to a doctor, pay them to write me a prescription by law. Then I have to go to a pharmacy. They have to sell me then an approved version, even what do they call generic is still more expensive than what I can buy it over the counter for in Germany or China or Italy or fucking anywhere. And it's our Food and Drug Administration. And if you really want to, Scott, Fabian Liberty did a fantastic job of laying out exactly how the AMA actually fucked everyone along with the insurance companies when it comes to medicine in this country and why our healthcare and our we pay so much. And you can't and so while I would love to just lay it at the feet of corporations, in this case it's our government that fucks us. It's
not always the government, Grid. The insurance companies have a lot.
It generally
to do with
seems
price
like
of
it's
medication. Well, I mean, yeah,
but the government is the largest insurance company in the country.
That's because you believe in laissez-faire capitalism, and you're going to find any excuse to.
But the government. But you just said, hold on. The government is the largest insurance company in this country.
Well, that's true. Just don't.
But I'm talking about private market.
You just said the insurance company is a problem. I just laid it out.
Private market insurance scams, which is, let's be honest, it's all they are because they don't pay out when you need them. And you know what I'm talking about. Let's not be coy. Government insurance is about the only thing that pays out. So, I mean...
Wait, no. I see, and I would completely disagree. I would say the people are the problem, right? Because basically what caused the issue in the first place is people saying, oh, hey, Tom, Dick, and Harry over there in the fucking corner needs some goddamn help. Let's go cry to the fucking government and get some damn help
hymns
for
in the background. It's hilarious. Can you guys hear that?
Did you say the government is the largest insurance company?
So says the logistics system, globally speaking.
Globally speaking, or in the United
Yeah,
States?
yeah. You don't move products from one side of the planet to the other without the United States government.
I thought I
specifically
heard
in this
something
case,
about the
Navy.
government being the largest insurance provider.
Correct. You do not move products from one side of the world, one side of the planet to the other without United States approval. Or I'm sorry, they might actually even feed you to the wolves.
Insurance.
The U.S. Navy gets.
I'm saying the word insurance over and over again.
Yes, those cargo ships, they're protected.
What the fuck, Denizen?
And we lease that security system out. It's called the U.S. Navy. Yes.
Yeah, but that's not insurance. That's not insurance. Because in the insurance industry, are
You pay for it. Yes, you do. You pay
Let me
for it.
try this again.
Don't do it. Say on the news.
Grid, what the fuck were you talking about when you said America was the largest insurance provider?
Our government is the largest insurance provider.
Yeah, can you explain what you meant by that?
Yeah, the VA, all of the government health care that's given to government employees, which is probably the single largest employer in the country.
So you're talking about medical insurance?
Yeah, that's what we were talking about.
That's what I thought, and that's why I reacted. Not some weird shit about protecting us and ensuring things get from point A to point B in Somalia, like Josh was talking about. I'm talking about the fact that it's a well-known fact. The United Health Group. Josh, why are you talking over me?
Those medicines that are parked on those cargo ships.
You're going to answer my question of why you're talking over me by talking over me? Seriously?
You're just basically nitpicking at one position. That's it.
I'm not nitpicking at anything. I'm talking about the topic in your
I
own
understand
world
you guys
right
are
now.
having a tantalizing discussion.
Hold on,
Oh
OG.
my God.
I'm about
now your wife is seriously gonna butt in to talk over me some more. I'm gonna start putting people backstage.
Dennison,
You're
I'm
really
about to
trying my
leave,
patience.
bro. I waited around for a reason. I'm about to leave. I want OG to get this fucking screenshot before I go, bro. Can we hold it for a couple minutes?
Oh, it's the shirt.
No, yeah, I
It's
mean
the
you can
shirt?
take over for a couple of minutes, but I'm not gonna go back to what I was gonna say.
Yeah,
Good,
yeah,
Dennison.
it's
Don't
the
go
shirt,
back. We
bro,
have other
because I'm
things to
about
talk
to
about.
leave.
bet.
Anyway, the wife's gonna hold the phone, bro, so you can see the shirt and everything.
Alright, I got it. Wait a second. Wait a second.
Turn the camera off.
Are we seeing it, guys?
Are you
Yes,
seeing
goes
it?
hard. Goes hard. Give me 1 second. I got one screenshot already. I'm gonna grab another one.
Back up so
That-
you can see, like, you know, how it looks with an outfit on and everything else, so you can get.
I
the
got
full
that
context
one.
of
I
it.
got that one. Let's go with the up
Ah,
close.
okay. He said, let's go with the up close.
Okay.
Awesome. There we go. Thank you,
that shirt is
broski.
dope as fuck.
I appreciate
Yes,
it.
sir. Sorry, Dennison. It's just I got shit I gotta do and I gotta get out of here, brother. I stayed around for that. I'll catch y'all later. Snafu. I hope you got that. I told you I can, but you weak bitch. Later.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And I'm sorry for the interruption, guys. Y'all go ahead.
Denizen, real quick. Backing off of the frame, because what just happened right now is this is like deep into stupid frame, fucking one-dimensional nonsense that 99.99999% of conversations happen to happen. And then, this can just go on forever. Throwing bombs. I'll look at this up. I'll ask AI. This fact, that fact, this happened, and that happened. So a point was made regarding the planet that Grid owns, that you would not have any issue with as a result, because I said, I don't believe you, right? And then you answered correctly, like, yeah, it's not about, I don't want somebody to have something. You're talking about limits and frames, consequences, and so on and so forth. So hence, the point now goes back to Grid. Do you see Denizen's point? Because my whole thing is, I don't believe in this disagreement nonsense. Otherwise, I just don't participate in conversations. You know, because people who disagree are just fucking you're just missing the frame, the proper framing, right? So, Grid, Denizen does not disagree with your unlimited wealth. He's just saying that there is a system, which is a closed system. Even though we do believe that there is expanding pie and we're not in this scarcity mindset and it's not a zero-sum game and such, but there's limits to acceleration, right? You can only grow so fast and so on and so forth. There's still limits. You have one planet. Many ways to talk about limits and consequences, effects, whether intended or unintended. And he's saying, if your ownership of this planet is fucking up people, whereby it's in the mode of capitalism, capitalist control and everything, then he wants to contest that. Do you disagree with that, Grid, if you're still here? I assume Grid is not here. So I'll just I'll shut up, because unless anyone else wants to take something, because that is the line of the conversation that I'm interested in, and I want to continue, because I think it is the conversation and not all these other fucking bullshit about shit that could be looked up. Well, no, it didn't rain yesterday. No, it rained yesterday. No, well, it was 12:30. No, it was 2 p.m. The fuck?
I want to argue now.
They got you.
No, it's yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Like, you and I, we could have a 10-hour-long conversation and not argue a single time, right?
Exactly.
I don't need it. But when these arguers come out of the woodwork and say stupid shit, I'm triggered. Immediately triggered. And here's the thing. I feel like those facts.
Sorry, I missed
right?
out on a lot.
The unimportant things to discuss, I agree. But what drives me is I'm convinced those unimportant things are how I got to the level where I could have the conversation you and I can have. It's knowing the truth.
Mhm.
For example, that the United States government is not even close to the largest insurance provider. It's knowing
Who do you think
the
is?
truth that United Health Group, it always has been. Ever since its existence. When it was created, it became the largest provider, and it still continues to be. That Josh talking about ensuring goods get from point A to point B was nowhere near in the fucking conversation that we were having. And so that it has nothing to do with my opposition to Josh because I don't like him. Further bullshit he's spreading in the chat, which frankly just it causes it discredits me among people who lack discernment, right?
Not me.
And
Your
it further detracts. It further retracts the point from the conversation that we're having. Him saying that stupid shit in the chat, right? Like, I want to tell myself, does it matter? No, of course it doesn't, right? That's got nothing to do with what we're talking about. But this is how do you get dum-dums and normies to jump on the team and come on in for the big win? You silence people like Josh, in my opinion. No offense, Josh.
No, it's good. Here's what it boils down to. This is always an argument of the haves versus the have-nots. Dennison basically dislikes the people that have the have-nots, right? And wants them all. If they want to have something, they'll get off their ass and have it. Or they'll die. Who gives a shit?
You didn't pay attention to the beginning of the discussion. It's got nothing to do with that. Because I have, and I've had. And when the more I had, the more I realized having is part of the problem. And I don't have anything against people having. It's the consequences that come along with it. You could be as rich as you fucking want. I don't give a shit. Your material wealth means nothing to me. I have 3 friends that actually love me. I'm the richest person on the fucking planet, and you'll never touch me. That's how I feel about it. But it's the fact that people accumulate wealth in a system where wealth determines power. That's the problem. And you, frankly, shouldn't have power, right? And people like you should not have power. This is the problem. So be honest. Address that fact. Don't talk about how many zeros are on your back, and don't tell me about my feelings, right? Don't talk to me about my feelings.
Fine, that's
or
easy.
how I feel about this or that. Talk about wealth and power. Don't talk about tree-hugging hippies. Talk about wealth and power.
Before we get too far afield,
I dare you to be able to zoom out or even shut your fucking mouth long enough to listen to the possibility of talking about the topic. I triple dog dare you, motherfucker.
There's nothing to talk about.
Before you get too far afield, if I may.
We like it.
I'm going back to my
if
box.
I may, before we get too far afield, Dennison, if we go by insurance companies, yes, United Healthcare is first. However, you are specifically ignoring the VA and the other government agencies like Medicaid, Medicare, which makes the U.S. government the largest single insurer in the country. It always has been since they decided to make the VA, and it always will be, because that's the government pays for all of that, and it is not.
Majority of Americans have private health insurance. Medicare, Medicaid doesn't even come close to being.
Well,
that's what I was
that's
exactly
wrong.
talking about.
Yeah, nope. The Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, CMS, is the largest single insurer, and that includes VA. So I'm sorry, I understand. You want corporate. You want to hate corporate America, but we got to go.
Single insurer. There are no single insurers. United Health Group is a collection of insurance companies, and private insurance vastly outweighs public insurance.
The largest medical insurer is the federal government. It just
Not true.
It just is. The federal government, through CMS, pays for or subsidizes the health care coverage of roughly 150 million Americans across Medicaid and Medicare. And you compare, when you add in private companies that administer plans, public plans included, then yes, largest is United Health Group. They only cover 45 million people.
May I try something here with regards to complementarity again, so that perhaps we can move past?
Yeah, we can move past this. It's just, it's if you're going to call me out on a specific point, I have to answer the point.
So, and it's a fair point to be called out on, because it points to the question of, does it matter? Meaning, is the government necessarily, insofar as on the level we're discussing, right? We're talking about human systems. And then to arbitrarily separate government from corporation, right, is not sufficiently high level, right? So, Denizen, does it really matter if the government was the biggest provider? Would greed still not exist? Is the government, either as individuals or as an entity, not just also concerned with accretion and self maximization and growth? And once we know how these organisms work, they use different means and so on and so forth. But go ahead.
No, the government, in quotation marks, is just us, and it should be the largest. It should be the only provider of insurance. It'd be far more efficient. That's not the point. The point is that these people use these data points to structure their beliefs, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so they're convinced of the thing at the top, right? And their frame of thinking, because of all these things at the bottom that they believe that are untrue.
So great. I think you were not here when I asked the question regarding that is insane that you can have as much wealth as you want. And his whole point about wealth and power here, he mentioned while you were here that you could own that planet, right? But it's a question of the consequences and the questions of systems. And even if we agree that things are not a zero-sum system, acceleration is not infinite. You don't grow infinitely. There's still even if you want to say, okay, well, I can keep on getting that, it's not going to affect you because I'm just expanding the pie. There are rates of growth, which, and so on and so forth, and trees don't grow to the sky. And we know all these kinds of things regarding limits, right? So Denizen is saying, hey, I have drawn my borders or my limits. It's a dynamical system whereby you are not allowed to affect, just gather wealth and gather power because X, Y, Z. Do you disagree with that? So he's not saying, that's why I said I don't believe he is here just saying, oh, I want to limit your wealth. He's saying that there is a system that I don't want to run away. Do you agree or disagree?
So I'm gonna steelman Denizen's argument here just slightly, because it's a very important point, and it shouldn't be glossed over. So and correct me if I am wrong here, Denizen. Denizen's problem is not that people have wealth and money. His problem is that with the wealth and money comes power, and he doesn't believe anyone should hold power. And that's an interesting point. Is that my correct so far, Denizen?
I don't think any one man, I've never met a single man who is capable or entitled to the level of power that comes with wealth in the United States. And whether it is or it isn't a zero-sum game, those who hoard it make sure they create a playing field in which we are all in direct competition with what they have. That what they do 100% affects Dee's ability to get her insulin.
Okay.
This is reality.
Okay. So you're basically saying that while Elon Musk was able to accomplish what no one thought was possible, as a matter of fact, people heckled him for believing that it was possible. Not only should he not have that, but nobody, because he's in that position now, nobody can achieve the same position he has. Is that what you're saying?
I wouldn't say that because I don't particularly think he's that accomplished. I'm not really that impressed. I never would have said it's impossible. It's easy. You just have to have the right mindset for it.
Okay.
And what I would say is that mindset is not conducive to a healthy society.
And yet, because of his mindset, I can fire up my Starlink in the middle of the desert and have internet.
Nah.
Without his mindset, I couldn't do that.
Don't buy that for a second either. I think that's a story that you
truth.
Guys tell you.
It didn't exist, and now it does because of him.
No, I don't believe that. I don't believe that it exists.
It's irrelevant what you believe. It's factually accurate that it didn't exist.
Prove it.
And now it does.
Yeah, prove it's because of him.
It's easy. He holds the patent. Like, that's easy because it's because of him. Nobody else did it.
Edison held the patent for the light bulb. He didn't even invent the fucking thing.
Sure, he's credited with that, but he facilitated the invention of the light bulb.
No, he just stole the idea from somebody else. He didn't even steal it from an engineer. He stole it from another businessman who was already making light bulbs. He's just a thief. This is my point with you people in your narratives. No offense, but you are one of these people. You literally tell yourselves that satellites wouldn't exist if it weren't for people like Elon Musk. And I
didn't
think
say satellites
that's
wouldn't
absolutely
exist.
bonkers.
Starlink wouldn't exist.
Yeah, okay, sure. Starlink wouldn't exist without Elon Musk. Is bonkers to me.
Okay.
Absolutely bonkers.
Why do you think it would exist without him?
Because he had nothing to do with inventing it, coming up with the idea, creating it, or engineering it.
But
And
he provided the capital that was necessary for it to happen.
No, I don't think he created the necessity for it either.
No, he created the capital necessary for it to happen.
Yeah, in your system where capital runs everything. Yeah.
Well, it's not my system, it is the system.
Well, it's the one that you're advocating for.
I'm not advocating for either. I'm just simply saying this is.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah. No, I agree with you. That's my problem.
And I'm trying to understand why you're. I'm trying to understand what you're saying, because from my point of view, what you're saying is that what you're attempting to say is that in a society that doesn't hold
I can tell you. You don't have to tell me what I'm attempting to say. I can tell you.
Okay, go ahead.
The accumulation of capital does not in any way demonstrate your ability to make good decisions or to help the human species. If anything, it has shown.
Converse must also then be true. That having that capital allows you to be able to do those things.
In a system where it's based on capital, sure.
Is there any system that's not based on capital?
Yeah, your house.
Which one? I'm sorry?
Your family.
It's not based on capital in my family?
No.
Hmm.
It's socialism.
Walk me through that.
How did your kid earn his food from age 0 to 5? He did chores when he was 18 months old? That's a fascinating baby.
No. You know what?
You know
he did
what?
Not.
I mean, at
He
that
did
rate,
not.
I
He did
changed
not
my
do
mind
that.
about capitalism. What you need to do is teach everybody how to make 18-year-olds do work. And then we'll have the most prosperous society on earth.
That's a solid observation. When he was unable to do that, we covered it. We worked. And then as soon as he was able to, he works in the house. He mows the. He was mowing. He was mowing the yard at
'Cause
10.
that sounds
He was
like
doing chores
to
early.
each according to his need, and from each according to their ability. That sounds commie as fuck to me.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's arguing that the dynamics of how family operates is socialism. However, the thing that creates the family is based on capital.
I was just arguing. I mean, he was just arguing against that, saying it wasn't. And I will push back and say that families existed way before money existed. Never mind capitalism.
But it's still capital.
No, it's
still
not.
Capital. What do you define
It's
capital
not.
as? What do you define capital as?
Money.
But money can be anything. Money can be butter. Money can
exactly. No.
Yeah.
No. That's the point. You want to make in capitalism everything is capital. That's the problem. When what we're really talking about is butter, electricity, food, shelter, even excess. We're talking about luxury, convenience. These are the things we're really talking about.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So is it the case that the argument is we should do away with money and start trading in whatever goods and services that we have directly?
That's still money.
I'm not giving.
He's just disagreeing with the definition, which is fine, right? I'm just trying to figure out.
What definition did I disagree with?
The idea is forget that. The question is would you prefer that money go away and we trade each other in goods and services directly?
I would prefer that you stop lying to yourself about the reality that you live in.
Right. So you're not saying anything. You don't have a prescription. You don't have anything. You're just, I don't like what it is.
That was my prescription.
Is what?
Stop lying to yourself about the system you already live in.
We like this system. I like this system I live in. I've got no qualms with it.
Start thinking critically. Start realizing the actual system that you live in, and stop telling yourself stories like we wouldn't have Starlink if it weren't for Elon Musk. That's a fairy tale.
You absolutely. Starlink would not exist without Elon Musk.
And this is my only prescription, that people like you either learn how to think or your ideas fade away into the background and we point at you and laugh like we should.
I think you implied at something else. The company, Starlink, and what it does by providing, I guess what they're going to call it, affordable satellite internet, right? Because technically speaking, satellite internet's expensive as shit. He created that company. Okay, what?
Sure. Yeah, I'm not talking about Starlink. I'm
I'll
talking about satellite internet.
I'll be even more specific.
Hold on, I want to say good morning, Lady V. Sorry, I was away recording a voiceover for the archery video. Good morning, Lady V. Y'all go ahead.
I'll be more specific. The fact that I can fire up my Starlink in the middle of the desert and get internet, or in the middle of the ocean and get internet, make phone calls, and do all of that, is because of Elon Musk. And it's not the fact that that satellite communications did not exist before. Certainly it did. Motorola, had the Iridium, but what Elon Musk did was he put enough satellites into orbit and made it cheap enough that mere mortals can afford it. And that is what he did. It would not exist without Elon Musk going, it's ridiculous to pay $150 a minute on a Motorola Iridium for satellite service, which could save lives. And so what he did is he established a system so that mere mortals can afford it. And even if they can't afford it, they can still use it in an emergency. And that's what he did. And that's what he created. He created a system by which that mere mortal, normal people that with a regular paycheck can afford internet anywhere on the fucking planet.
Let me do my thing here again for a second. If you don't mind,
that it?
Go ahead. Do your thing.
Do you think that if Elon was never born, we wouldn't have cheap satellite internet?
Yeah, I believe that we would not at this moment have that.
Perfect. Okay, great. Because
okay, help me, Ike.
No, so
Ike, real quick, Ike. Just me and you now. I think that's fucking retarded, right? Like I'm dumb, and that's dumb I can't fathom. I don't even know how you can come to that conclusion if you know facts about things, right? You get where I'm coming from with that? Not opinions, not political opinions, facts about things, Ike.
100%. So, and this is exactly where I wanted to go. But prior to getting there, I want to just kind of dispel one thing, which is I don't necessarily think that, at least, I don't think that over 50% of what Denizen agreed to regarding Elon's mindset, he agreed to the fact that it's not new, whatever. I don't actually think that that's what Denizen is saying, that, the mindset of an Elon type is the problem. No. Right. Yep. It's just like I said that, of course, he doesn't believe that you shouldn't have. Of course, he doesn't fucking disagree with that mindset. Then we get to this point of there are things within certain kinds of structures, certain kinds of organizations that make it such that you're not able to create, right, the Starlinks. And then it takes somebody from outside to do it. The point is, the person coming from outside is coming in with this kind of a capital thing, right? They have their set of incentives. But Denizen is pointing out, hey, that thing with its set of incentives is going to lead us to hell. So there is a way of fixing within the otherwise kinds of structure, which we are not fully said what they are. But I could tell you, going back to the whole thing about looking at things from a granular point of view regarding human psychology, specific stupidities, which are not infinite, specific types of human frailties, which are not infinite, which you can point to, that make it such that within certain kinds of organizations, innovation doesn't happen, and all these other kinds of things, right? So, to Denizen's point, innovation does not require an Elon Musk, right? Meaning Elon Musk in particular. But there are certain kinds of structures that make it such that it doesn't happen. It wouldn't happen in NASA, for example, right? And the real question is, well, why can't it happen in NASA? Like, what exactly is it? Because I agree with Denizen that the things that Elon does are not on the level of like, okay, well, I am going to revolutionize, quantum mechanics by describing space-time as a product of entropy or some shit like that, right? No, there's some obvious big gaps and stupidities, which he comes in, he takes advantage of, and he fixes indeed. But because he's doing it in the capitalistic system, now it leads to this kind of outsized power, which Denizen is concerned with. But the real question is, why can it not happen without this kind of outsized power situation?
You got your answer with your description. Because the stupid people.
Well, because there's always the one person that sees things that other people do not. Right? This is why Carnegie, Rockefeller, all the
oh my God.
What? I cannot make
it. I don't know.
Too small.
I challenge you again, Ike.
It's very small.
Big challenge me to help you out.
He named guys.
Because those guys have no vision. All they have is greed.
Yeah.
And they used the products and vision of other people in order to make money. I mean, what planet are we on here?
Those people in particular didn't have any brilliant ideas who you just named. They just bought up every small business or lowered their prices to push out those businesses.
But don't you see, the money is the ideal, Joe. The money is the ideal.
Right.
I'm sorry.
And OG is at the core of where I'm coming from that I can't seem to get the point across.
Okay.
He said it sarcastically. I don't know how to say it.
Sorry about that. I had to talk to my 5-year-old.
Constructively.
Mm-hmm.
So
us happy White History Month. July feels white. That's amazing. Thank you for the dono. But no, like I get like that's the one thing. This is where I can contribute to the conversation. Because I've watched all my life these people praising Edison, praising all of these people that did either just financed it or just outright stole it from better, smarter people and crushed ideas that were not profitable for them at the time, or they couldn't figure out how to make profit off of it. We would be in a better place had Nikola Tesla replaced Edison instead of vice versa, which is what we got.
Well, I mean, we can't say that we would be in a better place.
The technology that was destroyed at Edison's facility because it was not profitable at the current rate, and what the U.S. government seized, we can absolutely say we would be in a better place. The man had Wi-Fi. The man had Wi-Fi and wireless electricity.
I think there's at least an argument that if some baron comes in and buys everything up and every oil company or whatever is done his way, all of the other smaller companies which would have went out on their own and they would have come up with great ideas and did shit in different ways as
And then
opposed
they
to
call it competition, Joe. That's the icing on the brainwashing shit sandwich, right? Like,
it's not competition either. Like, you're right.
exactly, right? Like, this is how they get you hooked
And
into
it's damn
believing
sure
this
not-
nonsense.
It's
Right.
damn sure not vision or ability.
no, it's greed
Like
and
this
heartlessness
is
and
where you get.
ruthlessness
This is
helps
where
too.
you. This is where you guys. This is where I'm fine with the heartlessness and ruthlessness. To be honest, I'm fine
No,
with
you're
it. I'm
not.
fine
No,
with
you're
the,
not.
I'm
I know
fine
you,
with the
but I'm not going to
competition.
argue it now.
I'm fine. I'm fine. Even fine with the competition. But this is not competition. This is some spoiled rich kid jumping the fucking line because money. That's it. That's all it is. They're using the inventions and brain power of better fucking people.
Then, if those people were better, how come they didn't succeed?
money.
Because somebody with wealth and power crushed them. Your definition of better is literally just who has a bigger bag. Well, Grid, you should know a bullet trumps a bag any day.
What? Yeah, and I can buy a lot of bullets with
Pragmatic
bag money.
Yeah, but it
motherfucker
only
typically
take-
will
it
come
only
in
takes-
and as was mentioned before, right? You know, people who are willing to do whatever the fuck it takes, right? And that's the result of a system. Meaning, the answer to your question as to, well, if they're so great, how come it didn't work out? Well, the system is not such that those types of people would win, right? So I'm saying just a simple point here, which you know is
I
nothing new and everybody knows, which is, hence, don't scapegoat Elon or and even people worse than Elon, any rubber baron you want to mention, because they just fucking are the ones who actually, because without them in the current system, right, it'll be worse, right? But the problem is the system,
Yeah.
right? But the thing is, at least they come in and they be like, you know what, fuck that stupid
Yeah,
shit
like
going on there.
Elon Musk,
Fuck, I can make a
choose you.
billion, so let me do it. That kind of shit.
Yeah, like, let me backpedal a little bit and say, in this system, I prefer fucking Elon. I prefer the satellite guy over the fucking Chinese bullshit guy. You know, like,
I have a question.
let me sell you the guy who sells hair dryers to people that catch on fire. You know what I mean?
D brings up a good point. The original light bulb should last a couple generations. Check out the light bulb in California firehouse that has burned since 1901. Plan obsolescence to profit. Again, how does that bring us?
Edison has one in his original place that I think is still burning as well. And I'm familiar with the firehouse.
And
Yeah,
I do have
It's a matter of putting out enough light, and there's some
Right,
other issues
is
too.
yeah.
Well, I do have to ask you a serious question, Grid. When I said a bullet is more da-da-da, you said I can buy. Why do you think that I'm talking about you?
Yeah.
Because are you so ingrained in this system that you can't separate
Great
yourself
point.
from it? Because you're my
So-
friend. I don't think a bullet is necessary for you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
you can't control
well, when you
the
make
war in
when
Ukraine,
people
Grid.
people always make this statement, right? Well, at some point, you're going to drive people over the edge, and they're going to take up arms and all of that. Well, maybe, but if we're gonna, I mean, and there was a battle in North Carolina. You guys probably never heard of it, but it was literally the mine owners versus the miners. The miners were literally tired of not getting paid enough.
Battle of Blair Mountain. We talked about it on this show. Actually, me, Ike, and Dusty, and Dennison.
And it was an excellent example of what happens when people that rise up against people who can literally afford hired guns. They were using machine guns on these poor miners. They literally they're still, you can go walk, you can go walk the hillside, and there's piles of 30-06 casings from the machine guns that they had on top of the hill shooting down at these miners.
You understand the miners got what they wanted from that conflict, right?
Eventually.
Yeah, the
You
miners
understand?
won that. The
Everybody did
miners
that.
won that
It wasn't
conflict.
just minors. A lot of people went through that where hired guns actually killed the workers. This is a
So
struggle
you get that
against
you
suffering.
defeated your own statement by saying probably not. No, people will. Everybody has a threshold, and once a group of collective of people reach that threshold, yeah, there will be fucking anarchy.
It seems like it, right? I mean, looking at in the
Ain't
past,
no
every
seems like it. Look what happened to Chicago when they had enough.
I'm waiting for grids. You know how come you don't think it can happen? Because it
I
seems
didn't
like
say
it's
it can't
obvious that it
happen.
will.
I said the problem with it is that the rich people can buy protection just like you, the poor people, can buy bullets. I can buy a lot of bullets.
But you understand that that's the problem with that is the people that they buy have families, Grid. You can
Sure.
win that war and turn their protection against them. See, this is why I don't like talking about it, because then certain organizations, other people like to be actionable. Like, there's a whole thing. Like, they can buy protection, but that protection also has families. And while you're out protecting the rich asshole that we want to get to, I'm not saying I want to get to any of the rich asshole. I'm just speaking hypothetical.
We should 100% stop talking about this.
Yes, it just took a weird turn, OG. You do, I think, a better argument with those people have families is
I got a
that.
question.
Hold on, let me finish this. It don't take a second. Over the short term, yes, you can hire more muscle, but when the people actually turn and the people decide, now the people are gonna outnumber what your muscle is. They're gonna kill them in the
Well,
end.
nobody ever gets to the point when it comes to this anarchy. Everybody just talks about the anarchy. Nobody wins in the anarchy. That's my point. Innocent people get hurt. And it's better for everybody. It's better for the bottom line. It's better for the people. It's better for the infrastructure to just work together and keep the bad shit from happening. But that just seems to be the farthest thing from everybody's mind.
Greed. The
That's my
time of
whole
this
point of
fucking
that.
show. It's greed.
Okay, time for the question. So you guys were talking about like Carnegie's and all these,
Yeah.
people that did like a lot of bad shit, but then turned around and did a lot of good shit too. So my question is if you know that you have the knowledge to teach people certain things, to nurture them when they're at their lowest points, and typically highly intelligent people reach very low points, hence the reason why a lot of, famous people end up killing themselves. I'm
Drug use,
not talking about like,
alcohol.
I'm not talking
Yeah.
about like famous people like artists or musicians. I'm talking about true creative intelligence people, like people that can change the fucking world that end up killing themselves. So my question is it good for a person that knows that they've already reached their threshold for impacting the world? Is it good to settle for nurturing people through situations that can be changed and lifetimes that can be adapted as long as you're involved with their life? Is that a good trade-off or no?
I'm not sure I grasp it completely the way you're trying to present it, but somebody else, you'd have got it.
Okay, here, let me
Because
say it in the most egotistical way.
Yeah.
So I'm a very intelligent motherfucker, and I know
Right.
how to be successful, and I know how to make vast sums of money, and I know how to create power struggle control systems. I know how to do all this shit.
Right.
I choose not to do it because I know that it will not do my life any good. I will not be able to implement the right control on it. I know that it's not for me. I know that I will fucking corrupt it. So
Right.
is it better for me to just teach people how to get through their temporary situations that seem permanent and do that trade-off? Or do I just go the opposite route and try and reach the absolute maximum influential precipice that I possibly can?
I get the question, and it's not a bad question.
Let me start. I'll answer you first. We talked about this at some other point the other day, blah, 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 right? As you know. Now,
Yep.
I'm going to say, at this point here, it's a preference. Yeah, sure, it sounds tautological, but of course it is, right? So it's like, okay, the question is, well, I don't think you need any kind of general consensus, or will get any general consensus on the what should I do, or should we go this way or go that way? Because you've already decided that, hey, I can do this, and there are many things that people could do, right? I could go and get in a helicopter, jump in the Atlantic Ocean right now, but I don't think it's a good idea, right? So you decided that you could, because of your intelligence and facility that you have, be successful, but you also see the downside. So that's solid. That's a preference. You have made that decision for yourself, and no one could tell you, right? Maybe you could tell yourself at some point that no, that's not the right way. And also, if you turn and you around and you see there are people around you that could benefit, from from your input, your insight, your guidance with regards to these problems, temporary problems that they see as permanent, and it's worthwhile to you, and 100%, because that is where a lot of meaning lies, even for the people who want to just like count beans and stuff like that. There is the aspect of human impact that people tend to think about, whether it's even for something that's legacy and whatnot.
So when you do that, Ike, and you take that position and you make up your mind to do the latter of what seems to be the latter of the two in numbers world. But when you decide to do that, does that then become the more important thing? Like, does that actually change the entire fucking scale of the situation? And that becomes the more important job, even though you think at the beginning of making that decision, you think that the opposite is the best. You get what I'm saying?
Yes, 100%. And again, it's I'll shut up. I'm just only saying this because
no, you're good.
Yes, 100%, right? And to the degree to which, let's say, there's a gas tank, right, and it can be separated from the ends towards which it's directed, right? So if you have this, you got a lot of capability. And along with that capability is this massive gas tank as well. And you've decided, hey, I'm not going to do X with it. I'm going to do Y. Then in accordance with the massiveness of your gas tank, yes, you're going to raise that to a certain high level and you're going to have a high impact. Shit, you're going to go full Jesus with it, sacrifice yourself, whatever it may be, right? That's 100%. And I'll say this regarding there is no communication between you and someone else who would say, oh, but why did you do that? Da, 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 da. In other words, since I use Jesus as an example, there is no communication between Jesus insofar as, and you don't have to use Jesus, you could use any kind of a pinnacle insofar as you believe in a variation of abilities and skill and vision and whatnot, right? Somebody way down on the hierarchy of vision, capability, skill, communicating with Jesus in some kind of a language whereby it can connect like logic. No. These are preferences. The whole mask, the whole goggles that Jesus has, the way he sees the world, it's a different, complete universe from that other person. And there is no thing to connect them. It's a hypothesis. I'm not saying this is 100% true, but I'm saying that because I believe that it's all preferences, right? And social games based on preferences all the way down. Hence, a higher type of person with their imperatives cannot and should not and does not need to communicate the reasons for their imperatives to others.
And so probably should not even communicate with it. I think his answer. Go ahead. I think his answer to Jamie's question is, if you've come to that decision where you think it's bad, you can't put it in the hands of a bunch of other goofy motherfuckers. You shouldn't even give them no considerations. If you come to it's a bad thing, you make that decision because those people do not have the vision you have. And they're going to do whatever the fuck opposite shit with it. They ain't going to do what you used to say do because they think like you.
Nah, he hit it square on the head because I've already made up my mind in what I'm going to do. And I realized that through doing that action, after having already started, that I realized what the plan actually is. And I realized that going through that and helping other people through that, I'm solving all the exponents or whatever it's called. I'm solving all the components simultaneously while going that humbled or whatever direction, and then when I get to a certain point where I know that I've been patient enough, I know that I've learned enough, I know that I've healed enough, I can then take it the other route and go full fucking Jesus.
When you get to that route, you may not even want to communicate with the peon no more. Just saying.
Most people I wouldn't have to communicate.
It'd be like giving them fire to a caveman and you'd be afraid that they're going to fuck it up. I don't know.
Well, that's when you do like at the end of the Lucy movie, you disclose certain bits of information at one time. You don't give them the full thing. It's like like if you're an adult that's coming to the twilight of his life and you're setting up trusts for your family and for your kids.
You're right.
And you know that your kids can't necessarily handle fucking getting dropped $100 million in their life, so you structure it out so that they don't die.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think you'd agree that if you're your Jesus mode or down here, you're some guy who's way smarter, blah blah blah, and you get some AI shit, and you see the capabilities of how fucked up it is. Uh, uh, do you drip a little bit to the peons from time to time?
Yeah, absolutely. You gotta let them go through the phase. You can't just keep them in a bubble forever. They have to make their own mistakes, but you keep their mistakes calculated and controlled so that they don't, wipe out all of the human race.
Yeah. I think, yeah.
I was thinking about this while I was shopping today.
Since there's a lull in the conversation, I'll take this chance to grift. Guys, please consider a dono if you are enjoying the conversation. I'm going to push it out to the 4 hour and 30-minute mark for Miss D's contribution. Thank you again, Miss D, and thank you, K2. Keep on trucking. That gives us about an hour of content to go. I'd say an hour and 15 minutes of content. So thank Miss D, and you too can buy an extension, keep the show going, support the show, help make better content. I'm enjoying the conversations today. This is above my pay grade, so I'm mostly just listening and observing. I am quite retarded, and I appreciate Dennison, Ike, Joe, Jamie, and Grid today. This is an awesome conversation. Let's keep it going, ladies
If
and
I
gentlemen.
could tell a little bit about seeing you cats up here, right? I was working doing the editing shit. I had a great night last night, and I want to tell a little bit about it because it'll give you, let
Shout
you know
out to
my
white women.
feelings and emotions here. I've been working on a video. It's called Too Much Freedom in Chicago, and it's all across the country. The kids getting into those big groups, sometimes reaching the hundreds, and how the people deal with it. And it's been crazy how they deal with it. So people experiencing too much freedom. The police be like, no, fuck that. It's too many of them. We got to shut it down and run them in. So that's what the video's been about.
Are you talking about that party?
Yeah, those type of parties. We have a lot of them in Chicago, but I've since found out that they're nationwide. Somebody got shot in Detroit.
Yeah. Somebody had their house in like New Jersey or New York, like a really nice house torn up over the weekend. They like vandalized a 100-year-old piano. They had hundreds apparently of.
Well, these are, we're talking about in the hundreds, so it wouldn't stay at the house. Over here, they take up blocks sometimes. They get really big. It's like a block party initially anyway. It's not in a residence. It's a party, and they get really big for blocks, and the police don't know what to do, and it's been rough and all of that bullshit. But anyway, I was looking, fuck what I was looking for. This is what happened last night. Last night, they're doing this shit, and they're really idiots. And I'm speaking to you, Dan. I want you to picture this shit. There's a massive party, hundreds of motherfuckers out there in the streets and shit. The police, they come like, like really, rough and all of that bullshit. The previous one I got, they actually pushed everybody and pushed me, and they got really fucked up and arrested a bunch of people. So I'm going to see what they're going to do. And they're there, and they got the sirens blaring in the middle of the street, blah, blah, blah. And the people are now out of the street. They're on both sides, but they're in the hundreds on the fucking sidewalks and shit. And the cops are blaring and standing there tough. And it's just a standoff. This is going on for a long time. And I walked down there, and they would know me. I even had the Joe Cool shit on, so they would know me. And they don't. This is best behavior shit, so you should probably. So I say, okay, man. What the fuck are you doing with all this noise? What is the plan? What the fuck are you gonna do? He said, we're gonna order them to disperse. I said, you cannot. And he say, I say, you cannot. They're in the street. They're out of the streets where they're gonna have to move. No, they're not. They're on the sidewalk. Yes, they can be there legally. Legally, you have no fucking options, and all you're doing is blaring these sirens. And they had the craziest noises, like noise trying to hurt people and shit. All you're doing is making enemies, and niggas out there at the hundreds. And then one of the big bosses, you remember the guy, Dan, he was in the Training Day video. Now he's like a big LT and shit. And he walks past. I've been seeing him out there every night. We've been giving each other fist bumps, and now he's got to make a decision. What do I do? This is great. He go right over to his people. Repeat the shit I say. Listen, as long as they're on the sidewalk, they're breaking no laws. We don't have to do this. We're creating enemies. And he broke it up, and he let them stay. I'm geeked. I couldn't wait to add it to the video. I was up early this morning. You can ask fucking OG. I couldn't wait to do this shit. No chance I was gonna hop up here. Seeing fucking you group up here, and fucking then Jamie hop up here. So, it was like a great night and a day so far. I didn't mean to detract. I just want you niggas to know that only you could have got me up out of that shit because it was that important to me.
That's
So you're not going to talk about the white women?
You gonna leave that part out, Joe?
Yo, what's up, Red? You should bring your ass up here.
That's something because
Hey, what's up, Kel? I see you.
I remember that dude from the
He was bad.
the DPN days.
Yes,
R.I.P.
he was bad. Yes,
Yeah.
and now he's like a head dude. Yeah.
You need to show Black Bear or whatever that guy's name is.
Yeah. Actually, in the last video, as it's going off, the guy comes over, Joe Cool, that's you. And and Black Bear had that shit on his channel. He doesn't know really any action me and that guy high, but Black Bear would be familiar with that dude. But I didn't want to disrupt. I hate that I did. But I want you guys to
all
know
good, Joe.
Yeah, it's all good.
All
It
good,
was
Joe.
a good reset
you
for
didn't-
me.
And you didn't say about the drip method. I was asking you if you have, because you're an arrogant fuck, right? I can see
I
Ike
am?
like, no, they're unworthy. you know, right? So I wonder if you got all this, they're children and they could set the world on fire with your knowledge and the shit. Do you drip little shit where it can help them, or what do you do?
It's interesting, and I generally don't like talking about myself. However, well, since you brought it up, anyway, I'm just kidding. It's interesting that you have that impression. In other words, yes, there is the kind of hard ass, arrogant stuff, but that thing is orthogonal, separate in a different category from kindness. It's very different, right? Yes. I don't think that there's any reason. Again, not that I don't like to talk about myself, but I don't think there's any reason to see me as an unkind person. And
No.
I get.
I'm danger. You could be kind and buy a nigga a house. This isn't part of the conversation. We're talking about having something potentially dangerous and lending it out.
Actually, don't mind that either. I don't have this notion of I'm going to control the perpetuity of things. Right. I like to use the analogy of like throwing things into a hurricane. Yes, you're going to change some local thing, but insofar as once you start going outward in time and in terms of locus of control, things get chaotic and you don't know, right? So I don't know what and I don't know the next place from which this thing will come. In other words, it's not a priori decided whether I would give it or not, meaning I'm open to giving, open to not, open to giving it to the best, but there is a disposition that I have there towards not wanting to control, you know what I mean? That's not my thing.
Jamie, I think he don't want me over to his side. I'm thinking, fuck the drip, turn on the faucet now.
Okay, yeah. But in general too, you hear me saying that's the point of the aspect of myself that makes you say they're not worthy, is because of what I just said regarding the gap of communication, gap of meaning, gap of ends and whatnot, right? I do not I don't do that, right? I see very clearly certain domains and I operate within that realm and the rules that apply. I don't necessarily see another domain that's connected. So I'm not going to come down as a madman from the top of a hill, preaching the good news to fucking swine and shit, And the explanation that Denizen gave regarding, no one is listening, I'm here to do this. And by the way, I'll build a community and such, and many other things that could be brought from there, which we can talk about at some other point, Denizen. But that is kind of like my answer to your question. But now, Joe, cool. Let me ask you this, because Denizen said something earlier about family and socialism, right? In other words, Grid asked the question about, well, where are the social? And then it's like, okay, well, in your family,
before
right?
You get too far on the point, let me detract from the point briefly and say a part of that is I don't think I'm that guy. I think Joe Cool is that guy. I would just contend that if it weren't Joe Cool, it would be somebody else. So like in my life, my activism was ineffective. Joe's is effective, but if it weren't Joe, it would be Steve or Bob or somebody else. And yeah, go ahead with what you were saying.
Perfect. So I wanted to just bring Joe into the conversation regarding the family thing that you mentioned. It really is about socialism. It's not about family. It's about certain structures of hierarchy and that operate within certain scales. And insofar as we want to shift scales, I'm not saying that it can only operate within scales, but
just to use one as an example.
Yeah. So so it's just you know what I'm saying here, Dennis, and people say, within the small structure like that, yes, obviously you want it to be socialist, but then there's certain other places where, okay, well, it seems like a different kind of a hierarchy occurs. And then Joe here understands very well leadership, right? Meaning the organic forming of certain kinds of hierarchy, right?
I think so.
Yeah, so, and I know that you didn't necessarily address this, and I know that you may not, and don't even have to have like some kind of here's my programmatic fucking six-step system to perfect leadership and authority, like the boy King OG here thinks he does. But
the boy King.
Shout out to OG. But with regards to this, and Joku, you can start with it. But basically, there's certain natural ways in which hierarchy establishes itself. In a family, you have a hierarchy. It's still also a more communistic, social, whatever, right? It's a different kind of a feel. Obviously, numbers matter, proximity matters. We're organic, mechanical beings after all, right? But then when scales change, there may be different kinds of things. And it may lead to some kind of, let's say, decentralization, where I say, hey, I don't need the federal government controlling my local school district because of the same reason why my family is a socialist unit. It's a question of skills and whatever, right?
Yeah,
and insofar as we wanted to shift it, like if you say, okay, well, the federal government should take control of my school, it would not be without understanding that it doesn't seem natural from this proximity thing, right? That tends to happen with human beings. And you got to make sure you compensate for that somehow, because it's an information flow issue, right? And skin in the game issue. If you don't live in a neighborhood, your school is not going, blah, 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 your daughter doesn't go there, blah, 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 whatever, right? The kid in fucking Mogadishu, it doesn't really matter, right? So why am I making decisions about the kid in Mogadishu? Which brings another problem about media, and especially in countries like the United States, whereby people think that they have to have positions about the kid in Mogadishu, which is a different other kind of distraction altogether. But Joe, you can say anything about this kind of a hierarchy thing here, beginning, I guess, more hierarchical, less hierarchical, more socialist, egalitarian, less and such, and with regards to scales and whatnot, and what you have seen kind of naturally develop, and then obviously you can say whatever as well.
Well, I didn't hear a question in there.
As usual, I don't do questions. Go
perfectly, though. That is the way I see it. Sits fluent, and you don't know who's going to pop up, spring up for where, timing and all of that shit. Those things can't be controlled, and I don't know if they should. Probably shouldn't. I don't think they should, because it's just the nature of a thing. In fact, I think in the way you're talking here, they should be allowed to run its course and develop. That's the natural thing. Now, when the federal government in this instance gets so massive, they decide we're going to do something federally, and they have to take into consideration how it's going to fuck up all these things that happen naturally. Will Joe Cool, so if I'm the example, even occur under your new changes and that type of shit? So I think that the answer to that question, which was not a question, is what you already and think we already agree. I don't know. Hands off. Stop trying to control motherfuckers. If those guys, your shit, if you're going to even step in to help a motherfucker, you got to be aware of leaving them motherfuckers alone and not changing it. Where you can hurt the system the way it's set up. The natural system, the ecosystem. You can picture a natural ecosystem. I'm gonna help and give it extra nutrients today. I'm gonna throw a big ass dead toad into this little ecosystem because it needs the nutrients, and the fucking smell, the chemicals kill everybody. You did more harm than good.
Denizen?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
Yeah, just a quick. What is your Plato's Republic? What we were talking about was basically, I brought the whole point about family and the structure therein talking to Grid, you said socialism as an example, and I talked about different kinds of scales and blah blah blah. And then what are any comment at all?
I don't believe in such a thing. This is what I try to get forward to people, but the debate mindset is so rigid. It seems like people need something to attack and destroy and to prove won't work. So my only proposition is that we embrace critical thinking and realism over hyperrealism, narrative,
Looks, beauty,
yeah,
aesthetics.
yeah, all the superficial lying that we do. We start lying to our kids right away, and everything's built on lies and debt. Because in my opinion, once we do that, I don't need to tell anybody what my propositions are. The things will fall into place.
You would already be on top.
Yes, we'll do and be better, right? Now, if you want something to attack, right, then sure. I believe that workers should own more of a company than the guy who owns the building and signs the checks. I think that most of the profit for shit that gets built should go to the people who build it. And I think that janitors should be paid more than basketball players. And the people who deliver our food should have more requirements in education and should be paid more than less than minimum wage and have to live off the generosity of people who have too much money to spend, because not only are they not even growing their own food, but they can't even bother to cook their own fucking food. And that a doctor's life-giving abilities, the fact that D can give life with her hands, should not be a fucking commodity. All right? So if you want me to get specific, these are the nagging suspicions that I have, which, quite frankly, if we stopped lying and were more realists and were critical thinkers, I think not only would go away, but I'd be totally okay if they didn't. Because I'm sure that we would find some better way than the way we're doing shit now. Because now is such a obviously retarded fucking shit show that is not sustainable.
If you stop lying, because it's built on lies, it could not exist as it does now. You couldn't play pretend. So if we just
and if I turned out to be wrong, I'd be perfectly okay with it.
Fuck yes.
Okay, I just have to comment on that wrong thing, right? Because I have an aversion to right and wrong.
Incorrect. Sorry.
Oh yeah, incorrect. But
if it was turned to be inaccurate, that things wouldn't dramatically change their structures simply by not lying, I'd be okay with that.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, good. So that's what I wanted to say, meaning I was going to remind you that you already said that. So there's nothing wrong there, meaning you already mentioned the uncertainties and indeterminate aspects. You're just like, okay, I'm going to let this thing loose, right? And then you stated your aesthetic preferences or the reasons why, you're like, I don't think this and this and this should be happening.
Right.
But I'm going to let it loose. Now, if I let it loose and this and this and this is still happening, great. Because at least we're not lying, right? Or we're not, right? So there's nothing to disagree with there. And as a matter of fact, I tend to disagree. I mean, I tend to agree. I take that same position. But obviously, the subtle things are significant. And this may not be the spot for this other conversation, which I will mention and then kind of trace back to a previous conversation that we had on this channel, you and Dennis, is the reason, let's say Joe Cool would say, have a certain kind of view of, I'm not saying me and you, Joe, we've talked for a while. I'm not caricaturing. I'm just using this as an example of so the arrogant bastard, and I'm just using that. I don't necessarily think it's those words. It's not about being arrogant. There's kind of a
I know that when I called you that. I wasn't I
know what you mean. It's the thing which I say, and I don't whatever.
I'd call Dennison arrogant in the same fashion.
Oh yeah. I think Dennison is more of the classical arrant bastard.
Someone called for the arrogant bastard.
I'm just a hierarchy guy, right? That says, oh, you're a peon. Dennison is just arrogant. He's a free range arrogant.
Free range arrogant.
Anyhow, the point I was just kind of landing here on was subtle things are significant. The reason why I have the particular hierarchy thing and use it as a tool, one of many, to combine with all kinds of many tools depending on the situation, is an aesthetic difference, which part of which is built upon like that communication gap thing that in other words I don't tend to like say it right. I would not communicate. So, but there are actually reasons for that. Now this has to do with like more personal, but by personal I mean to the degree to which like the kind of conversations Joe and I have on that kind of meditation, self, whatever, all that fucking introspective navel gazing bullshit, right?
Go ahead.
That's where those are the reasons why I have certain kinds of dispositions, if you will.
Yeah. These are kind of different languages, which with the communication gap you're talking about, there will be formations because if you haven't had the weird conversations that this guy's had, it'd be tough for you guys to communicate. And he's been communicating with cats who communicate like him. Oh, I thought you were not done.
No. I was. Oh yeah. So people have mentioned that before. That I end abruptly, and it's when I end, I've ended. I don't do the. But I it's something.
Right.
Oh, the soul. Jordan Peterson does the soul. If you just let him, if you just let Jordan Peterson talk, he'll never stop. It's like you say, okay, well, Jordan, how was the weather? Oh, it was great. And today I walked past the bridge and the soul, and and it's like, bro.
I want to highlight some comments from the chat. Nude Guru says dishonesty is the core issue, arguably the root of all disease. And I wanted to address this too. Shameless Elegant says, back to my first point, if I was a business owner, I would have to put all the capital I own at risk. If something happens, my entire life is going to be destroyed. I got to push back on this a little bit. Most business owners use other people's money. Also, if you lost all your capital, you'd be an employee.
That's a great point. That the system is built to use other people's money now in order to achieve these differences.
Yeah, the risk reward myth you've been taught is a myth. The employee risks far more than the business owner because they all live paycheck to paycheck. I can't even tell my boss the truth, even if it's better for even if it would help him make money.
Right.
He doesn't want to hear what I have to say.
And you don't want to risk.
Right, mere offense can mean I'm living under a bridge.
Right.
And also one more comment right here. I have less pushback for this philosophy. If you really agree with this, then we're having an entirely different conversation, and the consideration of others kind of goes out the window. The problem is that this system is built in a certain way that makes it difficult to support yourself using your mere ability. You have to have a talent that is marketable, and you have to have the mentality and the temperament to interact with the systems of provision, which are effeminate, in my opinion. So you're kind of fucking men in the ass and turning them into women simply so that they don't have to live under a bridge. And I just want to underpin the point with this. Me personally, if I wasn't able to provide for myself with means that are outside of the system, I would get a gun and rob. That's Josh, by the way, for anybody who doesn't know. I would do a home invasion on Josh and steal all his wife's jewelry and
Vietnam?
shit. Yes, 100%. It'd be easier to get away with in Vietnam.
You would go just get a plane ticket or a slow boat. Would you do the boat?
No, I'd be in Vietnam with him.
Oh, I got you.
Which is a communist country, by the way. So let that little detail that the pure you should die if you can't take care of yourself guy chose to raise his family in a communist country. I mean, we'll leave that's ad hominem as far as I'm concerned. Right?
So, yeah, that's interesting. Huh. Okay.
There are all sorts of ways to provide for yourself, including taking from motherfuckers who already have it. I'm just saying, if
And-
anything goes, right? And we're not concerned about the welfare of this or that, and you just the right might makes right, and ruthlessness and psychopathy rule the day, and it's whoever can get whatever they can get. Don't forget that works both ways, buddy. Don't forget it
If-
works both ways.
Yeah,
If
might
you
doesn't
could-
make right. Might just makes.
If you could settle for less, you could be more honest with yourself and the people around you and stuff, right? If you could, let's say Guru was willing to settle for less in the terms of less. You know, the nigga probably got more than a bunch of us. Probably more than me. I'm sure he's got more than I do.
Yeah.
But he doesn't need the Jaguar and the so and so. He doesn't need that shit. And in his world, he's able to be super honest because there's nothing no one can take away from him. He's willing to.
Yeah, I feel like that. I think that's a real point. The more stable I became, the more wealth I acquired, the more honest I could be. Because I can just tell you, I don't give a fuck.
Yes. Wait. It only works if you can be honest to motherfuckers over you. Even a broke nigga can be honest with the niggas that got less than him. Now that with the wealth
Yeah,
you
a bunch of
achieve,
bosses, right?
Yeah,
Greg?
I'm telling you that I never felt like I had to lie to somebody.
that's what I mean. Now, you don't feel like there's someone over you. If I don't lie to him, I won't get that contract or that grant or
Nope.
whatever the fuck. All right.
Yeah, I never cared.
Now, you would agree that not everybody can be a boss, right? In order for capitalism to work, there has to be way more people working than.
Well, I
owning
will
the
agree that
capital.
most people cannot be a boss because
Right.
they lack the ability and the testicular fortitude to do so.
So now
Jonathan,
we
real
have
quick.
we have a majority of society filled with liars and
Okay, yeah,
people
so
who are being
Yeah, they lie
lied
to
to
themselves
and
every day
having
that they
smoke
could do
blown
it,
up
but they
at their
cannot.
ass at the top.
Yeah, they can't. They lie to themselves that they could do it, but they cannot.
I'd say that's
No.
a lie you tell yourself that you're the only one who
No.
can do it.
I've watched many people fail. You know, one of my favorite things in my business was to watch people who would come work for me for say a year and a half, and they would learn how we did things, and they would kind of get an idea how the business worked, and then they go out and they'd open their own shop. But because they're not me, they failed. We usually within a year and a half, and everybody was,
Did you-
I was
You
the
put that
first
on a
words
t-shirt.
you, the
They
first
fail
words you
because
said
they are
Bill,
not
was
me. Well, no,
the first words you said was one of my
You guys
favorite
can't get rage
things
baited
is
into this.
watching.
Come
Hold
on,
on,
chill.
listen. We
Chill,
might.
Come on,
Joe.
Ike,
When I say
let me
this,
have my fun.
listen,
Let me have my
please. Let
fun.
me say this. One of the my favorite things is watching. And you proceeded to say how a guy works for you for a year, starts his business and fails. That was dark, yo.
Imagine if we lived in a world where the people who would help someone else build a business were at the top instead
I
of
did,
people like
actually.
you.
I've helped many people build businesses when they came to work for me, and they were honest with me. They gave a good day's work. They learned. They excelled. They showed the testicular fortitude necessary to do so. I've helped many people start businesses.
Then you're not arguing.
You just love to watch
Everybody
them
can't
fail.
be a leader.
I didn't say I loved
the
watching fail.
natural
I said
shit.
that it made me. It was interesting.
One of your favorite things in life is what
It's
you
one of my
said.
favorite things in life to see because it is the law of the jungle, baby. It's what happens. It's what you're talking about. It's literally them going out. It's literally them going out and trying to do better than me or do the same thing as me and failing. And failing ought to make the people better. You learn a lot about a man when he fails. If he fails and takes his marbles and goes home and cries and whines like a little bitch, he's a little bitch and he doesn't belong in business. And he ought not do it. Now, if he fails and he says, "Fuck, I fucked up on that one. I'm going to do better next time," and he goes back and he reinvests in himself and he gets some money together and he pulls himself up by his fucking bootstraps, then I know
Which is
that
impossible
that dude's worth it. That dude's
If I
worth it.
have bootstraps, I think that the,
I'm just doing that because Dennison said that earlier.
Oh yeah, that's pretty
been very
this is
quiet.
pretty good, Grid. That's pretty good. Like that was pretty good and fun. I like how you looped it back because we know that failure is not the issue. Was the first thing I was gonna be like, hey, well, guys, don't get rage baited into this stuff. Obviously, trial,
Yeah, I'm
error, and
glad
error, and
that you put
failure.
it that way afterwards. It's not the way it came out the first
I was
time.
very
Exactly, but I was gonna
Right.
go
I
there in
was.
order to dispel the again, as you know, I there's a certain thing that I do, which is to move past certain things and just get back to a fucking point, right? You know.
Yes, yes.
We can't. No one can physically pull themselves up by the bootstraps. By the way, it's literally physically impossible, which is why it was used to mock people
That's so
who
funny.
suggested such a thing as being able to be successful on your own, because you can't, and it's dumb to think so.
Okay, let's step back. Now, this is even beyond. We're now in a one-dimensional frame. Not only that, but we're deciding to play little games in it as well, and they can be fun for a little bit. Let's step a couple of steps back at least. And the point or the word "boss," right, is a framing, right? Which, if you tell people to think freely, stop lying to themselves and whatnot, they might realize, hey, that's just a framing. There's a certain kind of a relationship I have with this person. And even if I could change different scales, and maybe I could go to Joe Cool's scale, and amongst Joe Cool's peers, there's a certain kind of relationship that this other guy here, this youngin, has with Joe Cool, where you can call it leadership, you could call it that, but to say boss and then all the connotations that come with it, and all the fucking literature and the movies and this and that, which
Very
people
good.
have been programmed with, is to just kind of be stuck in that frame, because you understand there. Now, take a step even back
Hold
further.
on, we can stay there. If we replace the word boss, I think we use that with leader. Suddenly, we consider the heads of the company as the leader. Then, would you agree that not everyone can be the leader of a company if
No, yeah, the
instead of
thing
the
is,
boss?
here's the thing. It's like, and this is the reason why I talk about, like, okay, relationships, meaning nodes and networks, right? And it's like, I could call it whatever I want, right? But the thing is, okay, I am this person within the economic network that decides that here is one way that I found leverage, or a way to
Very
to
good.
create potential, right?
Yes.
That to suck, it's you could think about it like electric potential of voltage, or gravitational potential,
I
or
like it.
leverage, or whatever, or thermal potential, heat and cold. So if something flows, this thing
I
flows,
dig
this
it.
human energy flow. Okay, cool. I'm gonna try to plug some other people in voluntarily, right? They say, hey, this person over here, do you want to get plugged into this because I need your little service over here? Okay,
Of
cool.
course.
Now this person has a relationship with me in a certain way, which he has agreed
Right.
to.
Right.
This thing of, well, I'm the boss, or blah, but it's like, yeah, that's kind of like my pipeline. Whose pipeline really is it? I saw this thing in economic space. I saw this potential, right? Gravitational potential, heat potential. I was like, okay, cool. Let me go over there. I do bam, 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 bam. And then I move on. And 10 years ago, I wasn't doing that. It was a different kind of a thing. So this doesn't take anything away from, obviously, Dennis's point, whereby after we stop lying to ourselves, at least probably step zero is for people to see, this is not deprogramming here regarding like, hey, you guys in nodes in the network with certain relationships with each other. And if first somebody has fed to you that this is called the boss and your heart rate should
This
go
is
up
this is how Dennison
5%
feels. This
when
is
you
why
see
he
him.
hates so much and believes that the guy carrying the food is just as important as the guy who runs the company. You're right in line with Dennison's thinking. This is not anti-Dennison.
Of course it's not, right?
Yeah.
But I just wanted to reiterate that point, right? Because you said you wanted to like stay there, because if we, and I'll let, I don't want to hog things. I don't know if Dennis actually wanted to say anything about just this first step of coming out of Grid's game, which was a pretty good game, by the way, talking about people don't deserve or did not succeed because they're not me. But go ahead, Dennis.
No, I was listening.
Okay.
Was I didn't, and I was actually paying attention. I didn't hear a question posed.
Yeah. No, this time it wasn't even an attempt at a statement which disguised as a question.
I was thinking some things actually though while you were talking. Because of the dynamic that was created between the three of you. Like, I'm not against leaders, right? The problem is that we have bosses who don't do shit and are paid like leaders. And somehow the leader is, I'm supposed to believe, 2,000 times more important than the dude doing the actual work.
Right.
So, like, if we lived in a society where leaders were valued and encouraged and rewarded, but everybody who actually built the thing and did the thing was also, and they weren't exploited for the boss who does none of the things, then I wouldn't be here having this conversation, right? So... we're put into these false dichotomies where it's like, it's either, like the immigrant who got here yesterday who can't even speak English, but he knows how to tighten a bolt is running the entire economy, or I get to pick some fat cigar smoking asshole who unlike Grid, didn't build his own company and
Right.
didn't work with the men in the shop, right? He just
Right.
it was somebody else's idea. He fucking inherited the goddamn company from his brother who died, right? Like, you know what I'm
Hired
saying?
by
Like, this
some
is
headhunter
yeah.
somewhere, overpaid $30 million a year. You know.
Right. And then
Well, I mean, in
he
fairness-
pays a Grid to hold it all together, right?
Right.
Because
He
it's-
pays a bunch
you know
of
what I mean?
grids to hold it
He
together.
wouldn't know his ass from his elbow in the fucking shop. And this guy's making 20 times as much as Grid makes, and Grid
Yeah.
makes 10 times as much as the guy holding the
Yeah.
wrench.
Yeah.
That's what and it's unsustainable, by the way. It's not a
We
matter
agree.
like aesthetics aside.
Right. We agree.
Yeah. So it's interesting that you
Also,
that
I've
you say
owned
that.
several companies, and my employees did not work for free. I always gave them the lion's share of the profit because it was more than enough to go around for everyone. Continue.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, so it's interesting you say that because right now I'm in the process of looking at another company to buy. It's an aviation maintenance facility in North Carolina, and going through their books is freaking hilarious right now because I can tell that they own 3 businesses on the same airfield, and it looks like with this one that they were basically trying to pay 0 taxes, and there's a lot of to me it looks like there's quite a bit of manipulation going on of the books. So I got to actually go fly there and see what the real deal is. That's interesting. But what's really interesting is that they have 2 employees, and those employees make roughly. I'm going to tell you. So the business made like $280,000 last year. It's not a lot, and there's a reason that it
That's
shows
this
only
total,
that much.
or this is total.
Yeah, it's a total revenue.
Okay.
It's not a lot. It should be more. Should be a lot more. But they only have 2 employees, so
I hear
that's
you.
not terrible. Each employee ought to be making about $250,000 for the business per year. 2 employees making $250,000 is interesting, and we'll have to figure that out why. So the owner paid himself $45,000. He paid the employees $126,000. So the employees were making the same or more than the owner of the company on the books. Now I don't know. Again, I personally think these books are very interesting.
I see why you called them interesting. Any chance that
Yeah,
the owner
because when
is,
you're a corporate,
It's not a corporation. It's 3 people.
any chance the
well, I
owner
mean, but it's incorporated, right?
I mean, it's an LLC, single member LLC.
any chance that the boss is he's just getting his company started and he's putting everything back in the business, and he believes that these 2 employees are so worthy and such an integral part, and he loves them for some reason,
No.
that he is making no chance of that shit happening.
Now, what he's doing is that he knows if he pays himself $45,000 a year, that when it comes down to do comes time to file his taxes, that's the bare
Yeah.
minimum that he has to pay, and he'll pay almost nothing on his income taxes, and he
That's
might
more
even get a
logical,
refund
right?
on it. And it's simply, in my opinion, looking at these books, my opinion is they're not cooked, but they're certainly manipulated. So that the owner
Well, my
having
next
to pay
question
himself
is: you think the other 2 guys are in on it? If he cooked the books and said he gave them this, they better
yeah,
be
I'm sure that they're
driving
getting,
Dodge
I'm
Chargers.
almost
Okay.
certain. All right, again, 2 employees, each one ought to be earning the company. And this is a busy bit. This is not a slow business. It's they have work waiting. So 2 employees ought to be charging about $300,000 a year or more. Well, closer to 500,000. Let's just
The
call
business
it.
you
Call it
said
500.
only made a couple $100,000, right?
Yeah, they made about 280, 270, something like that. I'll have to go look at the exact number, but
We're
it was
really
under
getting
300.
granular now.
It was under 300. So when I look at the books and I look at what they're reporting they made, I have my immediate thought is they're paying them under the table. They're paying them in cash somewhere, and the cash is not making it onto the books. And there's a couple of reasons that could be a real problem with the FAA and a bunch of there's issues that could be happening there. But so I got to be really careful here. But it's interesting to me because if you just looked at the books, you would say, "Wow, that's a really good owner. He's paying himself less than either."
You would say, how does these guys, they $100 and some thousand a piece, they making $250,000 plus his 45, that leaves him $10,000 to buy all of his shit. That's
$9,000 what they said they spent on parts.
Jeez, that just don't sound right. What about the lights and all of this shit? Yeah, it's not right.
No, he paid his employees roughly $60,000 a year. There's $120,000 total.
Okay. That makes sense. That makes more sense. Yeah.
$120,000 total in payroll, and I know that they only have 2 employees.
Right. I dig it.
If we're talking about sole proprietorships where the owner pays his employees more than what he makes, then I'm not even talking about that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you're going to argue that that's the majority of businesses, it's
I think
not a single business that I've ever worked for in my life.
I'm saying that more than likely he's paying himself far more than that, but on the books he's only showing.
Right. So that would be the corporation. I'm not sure how it would work in an LLC structure. I've only been Corp A and Corp C in my life, and from what I know about LLC,
it's probably not.
I know they think you pay yourself a salary with LLC, but let's say you had a pass through, then you would hire yourself as an employee, like say president or CEO or manager or something, and then give yourself a salary, and then that's what you would earn and pay taxes on, and the Corp A would shield you from the taxes that you reinvest or used on expenses. Now, that means that the really nice boat that you go fishing on and the Cadillac that your wife drives are all owned by the company, right?
Well, that's a different. Yeah, there's. I don't think there's any of that. And
in a C, the only difference is you'd be double taxed, right? So you'd have to pay taxes on your $45K. You could keep the rest as profit, right? But then you'd have to pay 20% on that, and by the time your account was done,
so
maybe 5 or 10%, or maybe even
So
get a wash with some losses and some charities.
I don't have a problem with the people trying to keep as much money as they make away from the government. I really don't. I have a problem with.
Why?
I have a problem with like things that seem fishy, especially when I'm looking into things. What's his name? RT Moo says sounds like breach of confidentiality. I mean, it would be if I told you who it was, and things like that.
Or just randomly talking about it. Yeah,
I'm randomly talking about a business. Like it could be a shirt maker in Hong Kong, where but it could be totally making this shit up. But it's interesting because I think that there's I get to look at a lot of companies' books because we're always trying to buy something, and it's always interesting what people think most. And when Dennison talks about corporations, he's really talking about publicly traded companies that are not actually owned by anyone. They're owned by shareholders.
I'm not talking about a dude who built the shit himself, is struggling just to keep the lights on, fucking knows his employees,
one location,
and children name.
Right.
I get that they're incorporated, but I would even try to de-incentivize that. In my what he called it, my what is it, Plato's Republic.
Let me just say a quick thing about that. Not really with regards to the structures you guys have said, which are 100% correct, and yes, the pass through is the way so that everything and the trips and whatnot are on your tax free. There's something which occurs, and I'm going to describe it in this particular way. It's that thing whereby you meet someone and you ask them about hypotheticals. What if I were to come to your house and I needed a drink of water and you didn't know me? What would you do? Right. And then the person has to answer. And I'm directing this one in a certain direction, maybe towards you, Joe Cool. It's a general comment that it's a general kind of a scenario or thought that came to mind with regards to collection of items in this conversation. But this notion of like, well, hey Joe, would you feed me if I was ever? And it's like, no, fuck you for. No, this is my me just having a reaction toward that. Fuck you for asking me that question, right?
Right.
Now, generally speaking, too, now if we were to say some stuff, and you don't have to believe this aspect or not, but anyone who has come to my door before or anything like that knows that, okay, well, Ike will help and whatnot, right? But why the fuck are you asking me to make public declarations about shit like that, right? Now, this is one of the ways in which, obviously, culture has to propagate and people have to do this thing, NPCs has to do what NPCs do. And I include myself insofar as I'm programmed. I am a being after all. I am defined. I have a nature, NPC as well, right? So that human thing of creating narratives, and part of it is asking people what they would do in certain situations. And the thing is, it's not relevant, and it causes a lot of quote unquote self-generated propaganda.
I disagree with you.
Go ahead.
Gate, so we don't have to go much further. It would depend on why the guys ask you to make the declaration. I would agree that 90% of the time it's some weird shit where a guy just wants to compare himself to you or some weird fucked up shit. But I leave room for the intellectual. I assume if Dan is asking me, something along those lines, then he's trying to figure something out. And I certainly, if I'm asking that question, some simple like that, Ike, would you give water to a homeless dude or whatever the similar thing is? It's because I'm 8 steps ahead, and we're going to end up with, communist socialism. I was trying to get somewhere, right? It wasn't to measure dicks with you. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's good.
I'd
then.
like to answer that briefly, if I may.
Good.
Because it kind of makes one of the points I try to make here on these panels. If you had asked me in my early 20s before I started my career, I would have told you yes. If you asked me now, I would tell you no. And I would argue it's the system that beat it out of me. Because I was raised to help that person. That's how my father was.
I agree.
And then I grew up watching the system exploit my father and take advantage of him until he had barely anything left when he died.
Right.
And so now I'm a lot more greedy and a lot more selfish and less generous than I used to be. But it's as a result of being employed that made me that way.
Good. All this shit is just y'all just making me want to write more. Y'all just what do they call that? When you fuck the chick who gives the guy his
Muse.
Thank you. Yeah. I'm just.
I don't have any water, so I couldn't give you any anyway. But,
I don't keep water in the house.
Fresh out. Corporate greed took my
Coke
water.
Zero only.
All right, guys, I'm gonna get to work, man. I appreciate you guys, man.
I appreciate you, Joe Cool.
All right, easy, guys.
Peace. Will it be too far if Nestle owns all the water grid?
If
Well, then you become a communist, heathen.
If Nestle owned all the water,
Yeah.
I mean, if Nestle's a corporate entity, so if I could maybe institute a corporate buyout of Nestle, and then, but then I would actually change the water. And I actually know, you know what? Nestle probably have a patent on water. So what I would probably do is I would create water with lemon in it, and then I would market my water with lemon to be better than their water, fresher, cleaner, better for you, some health benefits. Maybe add in some minerals or something, call it mineral water, and then tell Nestle to go fuck themselves. When they sued me, then I would then I would file a wrongful lawsuit. I would basically call them every name in the book, and then when they had ended up paying me their millions, I'd put it back into my business, and then eventually I'd be bigger than Nestle, and I could buy them out, and then I would have all the water until somebody did the same thing I did. They would have lavender flavored water or some shit like that.
That's the way it should be, right?
Whether it should be, it just is. I don't have an odd statement for that.
If you had to come up with one, what would you?
I believe in the law of the jungle.
So is ought.
I believe that it's either you hunt enough to survive or you don't. Now, how much that is up to you. I've always been very happy with everything I've ever done. I only move up because I want to. I don't feel like I'm forced to. I don't feel like I need to do more to survive. Matter of fact, my wife was talking about it the other day is why I'm even doing this stuff. Like, why am I not acting like a retired dude and like playing shuffleboard and fucking we just got back from Florida for like 12 days or whatever it was. And like, I'm already like, I'm antsy right now because I need to get to the hangar and work on my airplane. So we're going to rent that out to some students and make some money off of that. And, you know, I got stuff to do all the time. I just have to stay busy. Now you look at somebody else and they only work enough to survive. Literally. That's it. That's their only ambition. They don't want to work any more than absolutely necessary. And I can't explain that. I can't explain that beyond that. That's just human nature. That's just who people are. And if you're asking me if everybody ought be corporate giants, no, I don't think so, because I don't think everybody can be. I believe that it would be. It's a really weird, fallacious argument to say that we all ought be the same or have the same opportunities. I think that that's weird. I don't know where we get to that. And so when you talk, just plainly, Dennison, when you talk about this utopian aspect of your everybody does this, and the workers at the bottom get paid as much or more than the people who own the company and all of that. When you talk about that internally, I go, I understand what you're saying, but that's never been the case, and it will never be the case because people want things in different ways, and we're all different, and and there's just no universal truth to it. When you talk about truth, that's the thing that I stop listening when you start talking about that, because you're telling me that people are lying and corporates are lying. No, there is no universal truth. What's true for you is not true for me, and it never will be.
Corporations knowingly and willfully lie.
Sure. And so
I don't know who you're trying to trick here with
so do
thieves, me or you.
So do murderers. So do many people. They're all bad.
Yeah, except it's legal in the United States, and they're not held accountable for it. And people
Doctors
like you go out in public and argue in favor of it. You say that it's how it's always been. It's always going to be that way.
It's perfectly legal for a car salesman.
Go ahead.
To tell
You
that this is
finish
the car you
your
want.
interruption. Go ahead. Let me know when you're done.
You're fixated on this lie part of it. And
I'm not fixated on anything. I'm trying to have a conversation. You keep talking over me. So I need you to let me know when you're done so I can finish what I was saying before you started talking.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so corporations are encouraged to lie in our system. They're rewarded for it. They're given more wealth and more power and more influence. And they shape our society. And you say that it ought to be that way. People like you come out in public and advocate for it. It's always been that way. It's always going to be that way. There's no use in even trying to do it another way because people are different. That's your argument. That makes no sense to me.
What are they lying about, Dennison?
Are you familiar with the corporations who created Teflon?
No, I want the you give me the whole specific example.
I'm going to give you I'm going to give you some low-hanging fruit that comes straight to mind. I mean, obviously, you are a very listen, Grid. I know you well enough. You're a smart person. You're debate blowing me right now, and under circumstances, it would seriously piss me off. But I'm kind of vibe right now. I'm chilling, right? Good. So I'm not going to get super triggered by the fact that I know you know the answer to that question. Because I got to tell you, and I want to get too far off on this stuff, like Ike is right. But it's really fucking insulting what you're doing right now. It really is, right? You're treating me like a baby because you know exactly what I'm talking about. So, to answer your question, low-hanging fruit, are you familiar with the company that created and marketed Teflon?
DuPont?
And how they were caught lying about poisoning and killing people.
Yeah, I'm sure
deliberately.
They were caught lying, yeah.
Okay, so there's the kind
Actually,
of
more
that's just
alpha
a it's just a very small example of what happens on a global scale all day, every day, and this is what I'm talking about. Though DuPont still exists, it's still an extremely powerful and wealthy company.
Were they not punished for that? Didn't they lose a bunch of lawsuits and pay millions and millions of dollars?
Yeah, they eventually they got sued and lost nothing because they're still in business, wealthy and powerful.
They did lose something. They lost a lot of money,
which means nothing to DuPont. It's nothing. It's like if I lose some of my pee.
I don't think I don't care what company you are. You lose millions of dollars. It means something.
No, it doesn't. It literally doesn't mean anything to a company that makes hundreds of billions of dollars.
Okay, so all corporations are evil.
I didn't say that. Now you're treating me like a baby again.
No. I'm so some corporations are evil. So, and when we punish them, we don't punish them enough.
I think you're leaning back into having a conversation, but you're still treating me like a baby, or you didn't listen to what I was saying.
I'm really not because I'm really not.
We encourage and reward lying.
Okay, I'm going to counter this. I'm really not trying to piss you off here, but doctors are literally encouraged right now to lie and tell people various things under the guise of so-called healthcare to try and distribute and test medications that they don't even know what do. Literally, you will be prescribed. Not you personally, Dennis, and I don't know that you go to the doctor, but if you go to the doctor for any number of illnesses, you will be prescribed something that says we don't even know what the side effects are, but here, take it anyway. And if you sue them, the doctors are not held liable for it. So how is it different? And also, doctors are paid.
It isn't
fairly well. So okay, so all right.
This is how I know how fucking intelligent you are. You know the real world. But when you get into a panel with me, you pretend like you're in favor of, the lion just being able to eat everybody. That you pretend like you think the lion should just be able to eat everything in his sight. And that's how we should run our fucking human society.
So if you're going to, I'm trying to have a discussion with you, Dennis, and that's interesting to me because, and kind of, I'm exploring kind of where you go with this, because literally I see in everything I see lying, right? Like in government, I see in basically everything. I don't know, and the idea, and I guess where I'm going to end up with this, I'm just going to cut to the end, is that when you talk to me about how you think that with the corporations, if we got rid of the corporations and you did all the things that you said do, you paid the lower guys more, you paid these guys more, and the owner made less, or the managers made less, or whatever. I think ultimately it doesn't change anything because the lying is still going to happen. It's no more. It's not more honest.
You reversed my solution. You flipped it on its head.
Okay,
I told you I don't give a fuck who pays what or who owns shit. We should start with not lying to each other. That was my only fucking prescription. And when you challenged me that it was even possible, I brought up your family.
Sure.
You don't lie to your kids, right? And in the way that you do lie to your kids is tradition, like Santa Claus and the Tooth Fairy. And I would argue we don't do that shit either, because that's what starts it. This is our whole fucking society is based on lying to ourselves and lying to one another. And I have this weird nagging suspicion that honesty works better.
Okay.
And that's why when we're literally trying to take from the other guy to make sure I've got enough for me and my own, I lie to him.
I agree with you.
But when I give it to my own, I don't lie. I tell the truth to my own.
I agree with you on that more than you know, because my preference is always brutal honesty, right? Like if somebody does a good job, I think they should be told they're doing a good job. If they do a bad job, I fully expect someone to tell them that they're doing a bad job. And I expect them to be able to take it. So we're in full agreement on the honesty issue. Where I think we're diverging is that you were saying that a mindless thing like a corporation lies more than or in a more harmful fashion than a smaller business. Effectively, you're saying this. You did not actually come out and say this, so I know you're going to correct me, but you didn't actually come out and say this. Lies more than
I was about
a
to correct you, but I
family-run
think you're
business.
right. Yeah,
Sorry?
I think yeah. I was about to correct you, but I think you're actually steering it right into something that is what I would
So
say.
you're basically saying that the corporations lie, a nameless, faceless entity with no real motivation to lie in and of itself, lies more than a smaller company that actually absolutely has, in many cases, a reason to lie to their employees, to their shareholders, to whoever. And what I'm hearing is that you think that that's inherent, that you can't have it any other way. Am I wrong about that?
I think given the current system, it's structured to incentivize exploitation, and exploitation is more successful with deceit. So the business owner who tells the truth and operates honestly will inherently be less successful in quotation marks, right? Than the large corporation. And corporations aren't mindless. They're run by people. The people at the head are the most greedy and dishonest out of all the people. That's how they got there, right? Because they're more willing to break norms and take advantage of other people. Where other people say, I just can't do that. It's just too cruel. It's too mean. This guy's already past them. He's around the corner and he's stepping on skulls the whole way. That's how he gets to the top. So now you got a group of them at the top making all the decisions, and it creates a culture and a motto and like a banner for the rest of the employees to get behind. And that culture is top down, and it's corrupt and exploitative at its core.
Let me get in here 1 second. Say we got a 15-minute warning before the end of the show. I didn't want to interrupt, but 15 minutes until the end of the show. Unless you want to buy an extension, I'm enjoying this conversation. So, and I
think I would have preferred the cleavage wars conversation more, but. Okay.
I just want to hit real quick before I forget. Sorry, OG. This is I'm talking out of turn as I say this, but I don't want to forget. This is a reoccurring theme here. Grid is not the people I'm talking about, but yet I tell you, in his bones, he identifies with them, right? Like this is part of the problem.
Well, it's not a question of identifying with them. I'm a believer to a large degree that you can't, because I did, right? I came from nothing, I became something, and I'm continuing to build even though I don't have to. I don't know if that's dishonest of me, that even though I don't have to, I don't really have to do anything in life but be white and die, I still every day get up trying to enhance my wealth. And I think that that's something that maybe is hard for some people to understand. I don't wake up in the morning and think, oh, what a glorious day. I'm going to go out and I'm going to sit in the garden and have my coffee. I wake up in the morning and my first thought is, hey, there's my wife, cuddle. My second thought, there's my kids, pat them on the head. Usually my third, fourth, fifth thoughts are, what can I do today to make more money? Maybe not in that context, but that's exactly what I'm trying to do. And that's my nature to some degree, and it not necessarily make more money. I'm being a little bit tongue in cheek there, but to ensure my wealth, to continue to grow, my ability to do things in life, and I can't speak for anyone else's motivations, but my motivation is purely selfish, in that I want my family to be awesome. I want my kids to have every advantage possible in life. I want I want to be the best I can be at the end of the day. And so it's purely
This is-
selfish. I will 100% tell
It's-
you,
I'm not-
Denison.
I don't have a problem with selfishness. My problem is when we drill down into your statements, you don't give a fuck about money or wealth. Right? You're talking about your kid's future. This is what I'm trying to get at. So like the system is what tells you wealth is how you ensure your child's best future. Not any inherent reality. It's like, why is money equal to health in this environment? Right? It certainly doesn't rearrange your genetics. It doesn't remove the secondhand smoke that your parents exposed you to. It doesn't change your diet. It's because you have to be rich to pay the best person in order to get the best health care. That's structural, right? That's not natural. It's structural. And there are people who, on the other hand, only care about accumulation. They have no kids. They're only driven to accumulate. Now, maybe you are one of those people. Like I said earlier, I would find a place for you in our society. People who are just driven by drive. But I suspect you're not. I suspect you love your family, and that you're in an environment in which that behavior that you are engaging in protects and provides for what you actually care about. This is what I believe, right? Now, I could be wrong. You could be one of these ruthless, cold, calculating motherfuckers who's only that way because you were born that way. And that's fine. I don't propose to live in a society where we pretend like that doesn't exist. There should be a place for that. I just think that if you are one of those people, you shouldn't be allowed to go out into the world unleashed, and that we create environments and structures and tax incentives and economies to support and endorse your behavior to the point where you can control borders because of how much greed you have.
That's it's interesting. So my motivation is really simple. I was poor, and I never want to be poor again. That it is literally that simple. I know that I can be poor, right? But I don't want and you're right. That is mostly because I know what it's like to be poor. I never want my kids to know what it was like to be poor. So
Pretty good. I wanted to just harp on a couple of points here that was made, and I know that this was during another mini game that just happened here, but for the last minute or two, right? Regarding corporations, for example, and their motivations and reasons to lie. The fewer incentives you have, like the fewer directives that you have, the more pragmatic, therefore, you are with regards to all other kinds of concerns, then the more lies are going to come out of that situation. But forget that. Just let's just say no one is particularly prone to lie more than generally distributed amongst human beings, meaning between large companies and small companies, they lie equally. Still, there is a difference between large and small. And this is not a question of like, okay, I'll kill the small or do something to the large. It's a question of just understanding that this scale inherently creates a difference such of the same sort that is present because given the scale of your family versus the scale of the government, right? And that's why, grid, you're like, yeah, socialism in my family makes sense. So because of these things about proximity, skin in the game, and so on and so forth, even the small business guy is probably less likely to do more harm incentive-wise, or as they say, has less moral hazard, right? There is a thought regarding, for example, having, you could say it's indentured servants or people that, whereby, there's a certain kind of arrangement, certain kinds of societies where the people living in the rural area that are still kind of in the family somehow or less, they do less better, come over to the city or the town, they live with some other part of their family, they provide service, right? And as a result, or in turn, that extended family provides them with opportunity and so on, right? So you have a chauffeur, you have this and that, and that, we understand these kinds of systems exist in different places. You compare that now with, like, let's say, the nice, democratically minded person of today would say, well, that's horrible, The thought goes like this, that it's better than the Uber system that you have right now, meaning the guy coming to drive you, that you click on the phone and he appears, and you get in his car and you get the fuck out, right? You're actually less connected to than if your chauffeur lived with you. It doesn't mean you can't be. Yeah. So there are these kinds of things that have to do with, again, reality versus like what we decide to call it and the games we play with language and blah 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 blah. Right. I just wanted to preach a little bit regarding that. I'll shut up.
No, I think that was a good statement. And one of the things about employing people, it's always interesting to me when I start talking to people who, and I'm not saying Dennison is this way. Dennison's been really good faith and really good to argue with today. But as always, he's a lot of fun. But it's really, I have the most fun with people who have never employed anyone, and they've never had to write a paycheck. They've never had to sit behind a desk and know that by writing this week's payroll, they're actually pulling that money out of their own bank account to cover payroll. And I've been there and I've done that. And so that may temper my view more. But because I did that, I made sure other people were able to pay their bills, made sure that they were able to buy food for their families. And as an employer, and at one point I had 60 people. I will be honest. I had about 60 people, maybe a couple more, working for me at any given time, and across 4 or 5 different businesses, depending what time frame we're talking about. And there's a responsibility that comes along with that. That I don't think most people who've never written, never signed a paycheck on the front they don't get. And I get a little bit spicy with those people, because to me they're takers, right? They earned it and they take it, but they haven't actually produced anything. They haven't gone out. They haven't made the job. They didn't make an opportunity for someone else to become employed and feed their families, sometimes at the risk of feeding their own. And so, and Dennison's actually pretty good faith about that. But I get into arguments a lot of times with people who are not, and they'll sit there and they're like, well, business owners should cut their own throats to pay their employees. And I'm like, well, I've done that.
Dude, I remember getting the biggest payouts I ever got in the history of my company and being like, I'm fucking rich. And then after I paid everybody, I literally had $2.
Right. No, that's how that
no
happened.
Money left, or I more realistically had to pick out of my personal paycheck to cover the last guy.
Yeah.
Right, and had negative $15.
Yeah. Right. No, and I've been there. I've had months like that, and so it's always interesting to me how people talk about business, and I get to know. I was an involved enough employer that I knew most of my employees, not all of them, obviously. And they're, at the paint and body shop, they were scared to death of me. If I showed up, they knew somebody was getting fired, because I hated going there. I didn't it's a great business to own, but I just didn't like it. And I much prefer to spend my time in the race shop or in the tuning shop, or, one of those two places. And so if I had to go over to the paint and body shop, because I had very good staff running that place, if I had to go over there, somebody was getting fired, and more than likely, or there was a problem. And so there's that aspect too, that people just don't understand. So I get it, Dennis, and I get everything you're saying, and I understand what you're talking about. And I think that, I think there's good and bad in corporate America. I've seen both. My wife works in corporate America. We've seen both sides of that as well. And at the end of the day, I think that there are people out there that are employers and will provide jobs and build things, and there are people out there who are employees. And I think most of the problem, my experience has been, most of the time when I deal with corporations, it's employees that give me problems, not owners, not the president of the company. It's always employees, people who are just trying to protect their paycheck at all cost. and they will run you right over, and they will lie to their boss, they will lie to management, they will lie to anyone so that their livelihood's not endangered. And that's been my experience.
I agree. I'm just trying to get people to see that it's the relationship with their boss that incentivizes them to do that. And that the fact that there is an employer and an employee, and that the employer isn't just called something else and is part of the rest of the team, is because of the structure. It's the system we have. And I would argue that system was set up by employers, right? So it's no fucking coincidence. The employers amassed a bunch of wealth and power, and then they created a system to make sure that they could never lose it, and that it would continue to incentivize all of the resources going to them in perpetuity because they're greedy and afraid. And I don't think that that's the best way to run society. And beyond that, because I'm totally with Ike on aesthetics, that the universe is a star dying and wiping out every single species that ever existed in an entire solar system in the matter of minutes. It has no calculation for empathy or charity. These are absurd monkey notions that are ultimately meaningless, utterly meaningless. The universe cares not whether or not you pay your employees properly. But if we're going to structure a society based on values and tell each other a narrative, that narrative can be whatever we want it to be. And but aesthetics aside, I don't think it's sustainable. I think this supersedes my preference, right? I don't think psychopathy into the future will bring us to a type 1 civilization. I think if it's left unchecked, it will ultimately destroy us all, including the people at the top.
Denizen, real quick, because I was going to broach this aspect here regarding, cyclical, meaning evolution tends to depend on things living and dying, right? Because there has to be continuity. If it's one thing, it doesn't evolve, right? So unfortunately, now we're talking about civilizations, societies, people, groups, right? And it's a system with a logic of its own. It tends to go up and come down. And you speak of a next phase, let's say like type 1, whereby one could say, well, the system is set up in a particular way, just like an ecosystem is set up for these individuals to kind of do their thing and see if they are fit, quote unquote, enough. In our case, specifically, fitness here will be our social games, right? Our social games, our value games and whatnot. Then such that, okay, well, if it works, then we can progress, but there may be this inability to get to the next phase naturally, let's say, right? This type 1 thing where you run the simulation over and over and over again, they never quite of this kind of the system never quite lives and dies to the point where it crosses this barrier, and then there may be a need for intervention of a certain sort to force it in there. This is just a thought, right? But it's something that, based on last conversation, I had the thought, and also now this thing of the cyclical things rise and fall, and if you get to the point where you get this massive productivity and it starts to lead to less reproductivity, right? That maybe that's just, well, that's the natural thing. It says, okay, well, you guys have had your shot, you've done your thing, you didn't make it, right? It's like reach for the stars, and we're like, okay, cool, efficiency, and then they push efficiency too far, and then you die out, right? So go this particular story, and no one ever figures out that, oh, you get to efficiency at a certain point, and then you turn it, you harness it all and become less efficient. In other words, one, and boom, then you escape. And then maybe the game has to start over again once you get to type 1, maybe because I still think of, because of the naturalistic way in which I'm describing this landscape of evolution or competition or whatnot, that it does need some kind of a living and dying experimentations, if you will, right? So do you think, if I were to then make it a question, that comment on this particular kind of naturalistic, okay, living and dying of societies, and then, maybe you make it up, maybe you don't. What are the chances of actually getting past, and what are your thoughts regarding this kind of intervention? Well, something has to be done. I mean, this particular lifetime right now, I don't think if I do run the experiment, I don't think these motherfuckers, I don't think we ever make it. So I or I am down for, no matter how abstractly or to degree to which I can help, I'm down for some kind of intervention to take us to the next level of civilization.
It seems to be crises. That seems to be the intervention, brinksmanship. So we get to the point where we can't sustain the status quo. We're shook from our mental torpor, and then we cooperate just enough to get over that hurdle, and then now there's a new base to which we can, either thrive, corrupt, destroy. This may be where my faith lies. Like Christians would normally argue that even atheists believe things or base their beliefs on faith. And I would argue against that. But this may be where I make a leap of faith, is in the human ability to avoid extinction when it's required. But I would say that I use the past as an example, and the fact that we're here as evidence. So that I think the unsustainability of the current system will be the intervention. And again, this is why I don't advocate for specifics. It's not to avoid the challenge. It's because the specifics I argue for are realism. It's being honest about the cycles. It's being honest about the need for greed, right? Like, we have to be honest about who we are, where we came from, and this will give us a better picture of where we're going. And so, we can create an environment in which it accounts for balance. And then even if we end up being a reactive, cyclical species, we'll be more aware of when, my ideas are becoming smothering, right? Like when we're too efficient, like you said, right? If we haven't given enough reverence to the greedy and the ruthless, and we're getting too soft, maybe, if that's the case, I'm all for it, right? All I can tell is that right now we are not being honest to each other, to ourselves, and we're a species like flopping around aimlessly and purely reactive. And maybe I'm an alien, but then I'm advocating for my kind to take over for a while. Then whatever that species is, just give us 20, 30 years. What could be? You've had 5,000 years. Give us the next 20, 30, and let's see how it happens, right? If shit gets worse, we'll do it. We'll double down on your way. If you give 30 minutes of socialism, whatever the fuck that is, if you give that to us for like 30 years, and things get markedly worse, and we can trace it back to the programs that are being, incorporated, then I will let you eliminate all public funding of everything. You can privatize the whole fucking world, and we'll try that for 30 years.
Now, let me say something here regarding the faith thing. I want you to bridge this gap, and there may be no bridge. Maybe they're the same thing. In other words, is what I'm saying. You mentioned that some people talk about, whether you're an atheist or not, that there's an aspect of faith. And then you said something whereby maybe this is where my faith lies. And I like to think of these certain kinds of things as just kind of categories which exist because of the nature of something. So I mentioned in previous conversation, that God is a, metalogical and metaphysical category. And then in this sense, faith is a psychological category. In other words, it's like, and your understanding of it just depends on what level your understanding is going to be varied. So it will make sense that, and I would be arguing here, and then you could bridge the gap between this place here and the place where you disagree with somebody who would make that argument that, oh, even if you're atheist, you're going for a place of faith. Because in this place here, I just see faith as a kind of a thing, just like it's mythological, it's fantastical and whatnot, but it's a category that exists in my mind for whatever fucking reason. I don't have to question it, and neither do I have to have a low level understanding of it or have it control me or whatever. But it seems, no matter how rational, whatever, or even because I'm trying to be rational and whatnot, I see that category there, and I cannot deny it. What are your thoughts?
Yes, I think this is it's the point I'm trying to make about capitalism, socialism, welfare, economics, even greed itself, right? That's exactly how I'm trying to get people to think. And my only proposition is that if we think that way, it'll be better. I don't know what it'll look like. Maybe humans will decide how dumb I am and wrong about all the stuff I say. I'm okay with that. I just want us to stop lying to each other and to ourselves. That doesn't mean the categories go anywhere, right? Like, I know that love is just a chemical reaction in my brain. You know, it's largely controlled by oxytocin, and I'm not any less in love with my girlfriend because I know that it's a chemical reaction in my brain, right? I don't believe in God. I have no.
Then it would seem like you cut out or something.
Oh, I thought that was me for a second.
Yeah. He got smitten by Jehovah.
God was like, talk that good shit you want to, boy.
Sometimes got to be reminded. Ike, where are you? Where are you located? I'm sorry. I think this is the first time we've talked.
I am all over the place, right? Generally speaking, including both different continents as well, and but East Coast.
East Coast, okay.
Yeah.
I did transfer the license from my voice meter to the laptop, and it popped up and told me to pay and cut off my mic.
Mm.
Corporate greed, damn you!
Damn the man! Damn the man! Now we understand. We understand you.
I don't know if you guys want me to finish what I was saying. Otherwise, I'm.
Yeah, no. Land the plane. You were there talking about the categories and obviously yeah. Go ahead.
Let's see. What was I saying? Oh yeah, just because I don't believe in a creator doesn't mean that I can't look up at the sky at night and get goosebumps and feel like the spirit of Jesus take over my entire body. You know what I mean? Like, I can have spiritual experiences without believing in Bronze Age mysticism. And I know that this is a very difficult thing for a lot of people to contemplate because their identity and their beliefs are so fixated on these fairy tales. All I can say is there's the same variety that exists in like employers, employees is the same variety that exists in like blue eyes and brown eyes, and the same thing maybe could be said for atheism and agnosticism. So right now our mode of thinking and operation is out of balance. And maybe I could, soften some of my language because it seems people attribute statements to me that I don't make, and maybe that's the sentiment I'm putting out there. I am disgusted by some of what I see. I can't lie about it. But, maybe I'm not asking for an elimination of everything that you people are like convinced is the only way we can live. I'm just arguing for a rebalancing, reorganization, maybe some restructuring of those categories.
Mm-hmm. And by the way, just real quick, there is a look. It is true what you mentioned regarding the difficulty of people to be able to imbibe upon what you mentioned regarding I can have an experience without necessarily having to adopt fully or even partially certain pre-digested narratives that have been given to me. I may even take those narratives and weave them and use them, reappropriate them, if you will, as I see fit. And I also, to my point, can recognize categories which exist, which are based on your level of understanding. And then I acknowledge, finally, of course, my communication chasm, which is I'm not going to talk about God with you if you cannot, if you're not, you get my point, right? So because I'm just like, fuck that shit. I have the same issue. It's part of the same problem of like me saying, why are you coming to ask me? What would you do? Like, if it's like, well, if it happens, just wait until it happens, and then you'll see what happens with regards to interacting with me. But on this level of like the categories, the faith, and such, right? A simple thing to give people when they get confused about it, and I know it doesn't work. I'm just saying that it's a simplistic kind of form. Was when I was speaking with you and Casper the other day, I mentioned something about truth and then fitness. A third axis you can throw on there is meaning. And understanding that these things are orthogonal to each other is important, right? So it's like,
yeah,
there's no truth about your meaning, Truth could be defined in different ways. Sometimes it's a set of facts, kind of like the correspondence. Does it correspond to a set of facts? It can be kind of like a mathematical truth. It's axiomatic, blah, 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 category theory, set theory, whatever. Da, da, da. Meaning, dude, what the fuck? Why would you even mistake these two, right? And then you have fitness, which is, okay, well, what works? I'm in Mars. What works? I'm in Earth with capitalism. What works? I'm in the jungle with the, These are orthogonal, right? Obviously, then, even it seems so simple. I just wanted to say that regarding that issue, and I'll stop.
Yeah, I we agreed that it matters, right? Even if it's just aesthetics, then aesthetics matter.
100%, and that's on that meaning. Because here's the perfect, right? It's one of the things that I tend to lament against. I call it it's just ism, right? So, well, what is this? Oh, it's just a bag of chemicals. Oh, it's just a neurological whatever. Well, it's just which is mixing again these two categories by saying, oh, well, in one way of epistemology, which is the empirical way, I went in and I stuck a needle in here and I looked at some pH stuff, and then I'm somehow taking that as though it would have any relevance or bearing on what is meaningful. You know what I mean?
Right.
To a person who's existing as a psychological entity, and it's like, what the fuck? You think you've explained away meaning by saying it's the neuron? Anyways,
if anything, I've taught you how to create meaning, motherfucker. Jump on the team and come on for the big win. Turns out I can make meaning in a bottle. Why are you not excited? I can make a drink called meaning.
Yeah, and this is where our boy. So apparently it is rather scarce now. It's interesting because I'm just going to mention this, and we have certain biases and I'm trying to describe a set of biases that has to do with the things that we take for granted regarding other people, right? We have a certain kind of theory of mind, and we're like, oh well, everyone is like that, right? And there's different directions in which you could go. If you take two directions, one which is like, okay, some kind of a ability to calculate things, kind of raw processing power and whatnot. I've always kind of been, because again, that's not my forte per se, right? I do a little bit of something different, which I call, because the whole point about not disagreeing, for example, right? That's what I'm doing, not in getting into a frame and doing calculations. I'm trying to dissolve and build frames right there in real time, right? So I assume that this calculation type power is scarce. So when I meet other people who are like, "Oh, this person is so dumb," it's like, dude, like, why you gotta? It's like, you don't have to. They don't have to be doing these kind of crazy math in their head, right? But yeah, I stupidly thought that these other things, such as, oh, well, that meaning and truth is orthogonal, and it's all about, what's those other kinds of things which are almost spiritual. I thought that those were a given. Insofar as everyone has subjectivity and a consciousness, that these things don't we all know that, right? Maybe we can't really calculate it, right? Maybe we're not the best at getting the finest level of resolution with regards to this stuff, but we all have subjectivity, don't we? But I've been, that's a sack of shit too, apparently. So I am now despondent and disillusioned, Dennison.
Okay. All right. I really can't add anything to that.
What Grid One? What is best in life?
What is best in life? To see your enemies scatter before you, to hear the lamentations of their women.
Oh yeah. To crush your enemies, to see them driven before you, and to hear the lamentations of their women.
That's right. That's right. I'm gonna go work on my airplane. It's probably cooled down enough. It's not like 1,000,000 degrees in a hangar. So.
Yeah, now that you said that, and talked about,
he fucked up.
he just reminded me of productivity and the promise I made to myself not to get too drawn into this conversation earlier, because I was working in the background, and you motherfuckers, as usual, lured me right in.
I didn't literally. You jumped in. It was like a swimming pool, and you did a cannonball.
Well,
I came in like a wrecking ball.
To be fair, we are almost 30 minutes past time to end it, so...
I think you got a dono.
Oh, shit. I just saw that bad boy come through. Thank you, Isaiah. It says like, sub, support the host and the panel. Thank you, Isaiah. I appreciate it. Thank you very much, Isaiah.
I got the dollar.
Thank you, Isaiah.
That's so awesome.
Oh wait, have y'all seen the new one? Have y'all seen the new one that I'm working on? I'm trying to figure out. I'm trying to figure out how to edit it properly, but I'll just show y'all the original thing. Like I'm actually trying to refine. I'm trying to find the song to it, because it is better to get the actual song, because it cuts out at a weird place. But this is what I'm gonna start playing for when I get large donos, like over $20 donos. I feel like this is the funniest thing ever. See, I don't like the way it cuts out there and restarts like a third of the way through the video. So I gotta find the song, the original song.
Yeah, okay.
Can I just shout out to my chat? Yo, what's up, Brandon? Welcome in, Nudie. Shout out to Trinity. He's one of my greatest friends and oldest supporters. And, of course, the homie Michael Gambetti. Same to you, sir. Good to see you. Gambetti likes to listen to OG streams because, as he says, it helps him poop. And shout out to Ricky.
Yeah, Palomino Ricky out there. We're gonna name him P-Rick, Prick for short. If Grid was a greedy biz man, he'd have AC in his anger. Yeah, you're right. You're right. All right, P-Rick. I got you.
And I want to say hi to a couple of my supporters who are in your chat as well. Shout out to Sam. She's the homegirl. Shout out to Jason Gaudette. And I hope I didn't miss anybody. You guys are literally the reason why I do this. So, I know I tend to pontificate up here without recognizing y'all a lot, but You're the reason why we do these streams, and I saw there was a lot of old school supporters in my chat today. Con Shawnery being another one of them, one of my OG subscribers. Thanks to you guys. I appreciate you.
Mace, any final thoughts? Any final thoughts from anybody on panel?
Yeah, send me your money. PayPal.me/DXLive. You know, times are hard. Every dollar helps. You know, I'm got this Star Citizen project that I'm working on that a lot of you guys told me you were excited about, and I need a new 4K monitor in order to accomplish that. So, you know, give to the fund, and consider donating to OG as well for providing the platform for these conversations. Yeah, you know, like do it. Seriously, do it.
Grid, Ike, hey, Grid. Any one of y'all got a final conversation?
No, man. I'm gonna go to my hangar and try and get some work done. I'd like to fly this week. So.
All right, fair enough. You should make some content out of that. What's up, Ashtray?
Yeah, getting a lot.
Ashtray. Ashton.
Yeah, that's me.
What's your final thought, brother man? We're popping up out of here.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, hey, so who wants to grift for some pink hair dye on this head?
Damn, you really pick a bad time to come up.
I know,
trying to get up out of here.
Oh shit! Shout out to Ruck. Ruck, if you're still there, I'm gonna drop that link for the Discord. Sorry.
Ike, you got a final thought, good sir?
Support OG, support Denizen. No final thought.
Thank you, Ike. I appreciate it. Y'all stay in the back for a minute. I want to have a little bit of a conversation after I say my goodbyes. I want to say thank you to all our supporters and panelists. Thank you, Dennison, Ike, Grid, Ashtray, Josh, Jamie, Miss D, and I think that was everybody who came up. I appreciate all of you. I appreciate everybody for their support and the donors. Thank you very much. The archery video is done. Well, not done, but the editing is coming to a close. It should be here Monday. I don't know if what's up, Mike? I see you out there. But I sent in halfway through this. I sent in my intro and outro to Halted for him to edit it in. The video is almost done. I have some cutesy little video clips of Tucker running during the archery stuff, running in front of the camera, and he has a goofy little run. I also have some stuff where I took him to the pond today, me and the homie. So there will be some Tucker content out today or tomorrow, as well as some members-only Tucker content out. There'll also be that video of Tucker running around, and the archery stuff will be members-only. So y'all get to see that. The archery video will be for everybody for the first day. And then because it was completely sponsored by members after the first day, it'll be moved to members only for all members, regardless of how much they are members for, or no matter what tier of membership, it'll be for all members. But I just want to say I love and appreciate you guys very much. Y'all are awesome. Y'all have supported me and helped me out a lot. And I want to continue to make content, more varied content, as I get better from the stuff I've gone through and my situation improves. And I intend on doing that. I'm already working on that. So I just want to say thank you guys. You guys are awesome. And I appreciate each and every one of you. Because I want to talk to the guys in the back chat for a little bit. And I don't see Miss Mandy Cush or Miss Abby, and they're the ones who really like the outro video. I don't see them. I'm not going to play the full outro video. Tell the people we rated, Orthodox Guy sent you. Much love, everybody. I'll see y'all on the next one. Thank you for coming. Thank you for showing up and showing out.